saw not one, not two, but 3 mermaids near the Dominican Republic. He wasn't impressed. He described them as not half as beautiful as they are painted. So
No, that's real. That's real. Shout out Chris C.
he got catfished by mermaids.
Why don't you just say what I said? I don't do tricks. I'm not.
Dance for
Do
me,
a trick
Big
on
Yeah,
it.
no, you can just say what I said.
Big T just had maybe his best idea of all time. The NFL should put a game on election night. Election
They're
Tuesday
doing
in
every other
November.
day.
They are. They've taken over Christmas.
Did you see they're trying to cuck the college football playoff too?
Are they?
They put 2 games on the Saturday that has 3 of the 4 first round games because they were mad that they took that Saturday.
College football, they are kind of stepping onto the NFL's turf with an expanded playoff.
Well, the only reason the NFL is allowed to have Saturdays that late in the season in the first place is college football historically has been done.
Yeah.
Save some meaningless, the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl.
Please put some respect on there.
But now that we need that Saturday back, we should get it back.
You just take it back?
Yeah.
Like, thanks for taking care of the Saturday while I was gone.
Yeah.
I'll take it from here.
I mean, it is a federal law that the NFL can't play on Fridays and Saturdays up until that time anyway to protect college and high school football.
So what if college football just said, you know what, we're gonna have a game. We're gonna move back our championship to Super Bowl weekend, like that time.
They're
period.
not. The NFL doesn't use that Saturday.
I don't know. You can't squat on a Saturday.
Well, the NFL's doing it.
The NFL is just continuing to play their schedule.
Yeah, I'm upset with that development. But yeah, they should. They're taking every other day. Put one on election night. Give you a nice 2-screen experience.
Something to help unify the country.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
While they're tearing each other apart.
It would be great.
I did not know that, Big T. The Sports Broadcasting Act of 1969 affects Title 15 of the United States Code, telecasting of professional sports contest. So they can't do it from...
They can't broadcast a game on a Friday or Saturday in a place that's within, I believe, 75 miles of anywhere where a high school or college game is happening, which is the entire country.
Yes,
Who cares about high school football?
A lot of people.
Texas,
but so they're saying like they don't want to like have to skip their son's football game to watch an NFL game.
The idea was
like that.
protecting the attendance at high school and college games.
Yeah.
In England, they still have this, which is insane. I believe it's a large portion of the soccer games kick off at 3:00 in England, and none of those are allowed to be on television because of the lower league games that I think traditionally take place at 3:00. So the Premier League games that are on at 3 are not available on TV, like in the whole country.
they're trying to protect the entire program,
Right.
protect the whole sport.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I knew about the high school football law because there's a reason why the NFL hasn't tried to do a Friday night game because God knows they would otherwise.
They have, but you realize what it's on now. It's on Amazon. It's not on TV. They did one on Black Friday, I think.
That's right. Yeah, Black Friday. But I think that's a night where high school football isn't played.
But I think the law goes through November, I think.
Okay.
But it was something, but that's why it was on streaming.
Yeah, because obviously high schools are off for that week, for that Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving.
I know in Tennessee we played we had a semifinal playoff game was on Black Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's from... NFL isn't allowed to televise any games on Friday or Saturday from the second weekend in September through the second weekend in December.
All right.
Which is why after that is when they start using Saturdays in late December to play some games.
It would be great if the NFL did a red versus blue game on election night.
Falcons, Colts.
Falcons, they're more like
Or
black.
just do you have like the best Democrat players play the best Republican players?
Who's starting for the Republican team? Kirk Cousins?
Bosa's.
Yeah,
Cousins.
Bosa. Yeah.
Both for sure.
Is Aaron Rodgers Republican? He's more like independent.
He'd be a ref.
I think Aaron Rodgers kind of he floats. And I sat and I watched his entire interview on Tucker. because I wanted to hear
how
what
long
they
was
had
it?
to say. It was a long one. Let me see if I can get this pulled up. But I wanted to hear what he had to say because Aaron Rodgers is nothing if not. He's interesting.
Yes.
He stirs shit around. I actually found myself thinking Aaron Rodgers is not as crazy as I once thought that he was.
Ooh, let's get into it.
Okay, we can get into it a little bit. So he talked a little bit about Russia. The quote that made all the headlines was him saying, like, I wish that Biden would talk about America the same way that that Putin talks about the history of Russia. I'm sure, like, if you asked Joe Biden, or at least maybe Joe Biden 10 years ago about the history of the United States, he could probably he's been alive for half of it. I'm sure he could give you a pretty good description of everything. Like, Russian history is obviously much more complicated and old than American history is. So the Russia part, I was just like, okay, I think he just he respects the fact that Putin can speak about his country and he understands that Joe Biden can't speak about much at all. But I thought he was interesting when he was talking about RFK and Trump and RFK and Biden, saying that he thinks that RFK would be able to beat either one of those guys if it was head to head. I don't know if that's true or not, but it does speak to what Big T said on Tuesday's show, which is you're basically right now in America choosing between like an old guy who's lucid for about 2 hours out of a 24-hour period, and then a guy, one of the craziest people in America, that's going to turn half of America just as crazy as he is if he gets elected, and then a guy with brain worms. And the guy that has brain worms is probably the best choice.
The smartest. And then the guy with brain worms, though, he can speak the best by far, but he also has that speech, he has that throat condition or something. So his voice is actually hard to listen to, even though he speaks like very, very eloquently.
So maybe best choice, I regret that choice of words because I don't know enough about his policies. I don't really find myself nodding along to anything that he ever says, but I'm just speaking from like a mental competency point of view. The guy with an actual brain worm might be the best choice.
Yep.
He was talking about Pat Tillman, and some people got mad at him for Pat Tillman being like, look at Aaron Rodgers, this conspiracy kook. But with Pat Tillman, he was saying how after he died, the United States military took like his journal, took all of his personal effects, and destroyed a lot of them because they didn't want his own narrative about the war getting out there. And then he was propped up in the media to be basically a poster boy for the United States military. Yeah. And they tried to deny the fact that he got killed by friendly fire for a very long time. And so they made him into like, okay, the symbol of patriotism and serving your country in the military and all that stuff. And in reality, his death had to do with a lot more than just what they were making out to. And people are like, oh, he's a kook. And no, Aaron Rodgers is right about that. He's absolutely
and he was also, Pat Tillman was also an atheist, which they kind of like sweep under the rug as well. And so the narrative around like the public was like he was this patriotic, like God-fearing American that served and loved his country so much, when that's like actually what happened at all. And that's actually how Aaron Rodgers ended up. He reached out to me for the first time when I did that piece in 2015 about how I was an atheist. And at that time, it was kind of like not really that prevalent in sports. And so when Aaron reached out to me, we had a DM conversation. He was like, it's dope if you speak it up. A lot of us out there think like that. So
yeah,
he was saying something on Tucker about UFOs and religion and how like angels and demons are actually just extraterrestrials.
Yeah, he gets pretty. That part is like a little bit out there, but I don't think that's like harming anybody.
Wait, hold on.
I was just to Arian's point.
It's very similar to what we talk about on the show. Like he just likes thinking about that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's a brain exercise for him.
What was the actual? I mean, was he making any claims, or was he like, yo, I just feel or I think? What was he actually saying about angels?
I'll find the clip.
Okay.
He was speaking in a lot of hypotheticals, like he's read about these things, read about those things, and it's just like, yeah, he spends his time thinking about it. I don't know what he actually believes if you were to put like a gun to his head.
Right.
Be like,
just more spitballing.
Do you think that there's evil aliens that are on planet Earth disguised as human beings that are trying to convince you to do shit? I don't know if he would say yes to that, but he would probably say like, I would never say no to anything.
I think he was like, I don't know, but these are possibilities to consider because there's a lot that we don't know.
And when he's talking about the UAP's unexplained aerial phenomenon, I think that's what that means. And whether or not that's from like an extraterrestrial source or if that's from our government, new technology that's just emerging. Like he's right about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they are starting to leak portions of it here and there, which by the way, Tom DeLonge from Blink 182 has been like the instrumental driver behind all that shit coming out.
Yeah.
So when they leak, when you see a Navy, like a grainy video taken from like an F-22 over the Atlantic Ocean, and you see this weird thing that's hovering around, shooting way up 10,000 feet into the air down to sea level fast, that is because Tom DeLonge has pressured them into releasing it. Now, they might also be using Tom DeLonge. That's also a possibility where the government is leaking this stuff out slowly to freak out all the other militaries across the world that are like, oh shit, the United States is seeing this technology. Maybe they have this technology. Why don't we have it yet? We better get to work trying to figure out what they're up to and try to spend a lot of money to copy what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility that Tom is being used as like a pass through to put this stuff out, all the stuff that's approved to be put out. But there's definitely like technology and weird shit that we don't know about. And so yeah, Aaron Rodgers is right. I am excited about the upcoming debates though. So Biden challenged Trump to 2 debates. Trump accepted. No live studio audience.
That is the best way to do that.
I agree. I think
disagree strongly.
You want a live audience?
I think Biden knows that the best and really only chance he has is in a sanitized, controlled environment where there are no outside factors affecting his performance. And I can't believe Trump acquiesced and agreed to that.
But I see it the exact opposite. I see it as like fuck the content and fuck the outside factors. It is the best way to actually talk about issues without having a crowd there, because what happens is the candidates then placate to the crowd and the emotions of the crowd and the reactions of the crowd. And to me, that just it becomes a show then, rather than what do you really think about this policy? What do you really think about this event? You know what I'm saying? It just gets down to the nitty gritty rather than having to go back and forth over the boos and the ha's and the cheers, and it just gets very showy.
I don't necessarily disagree with you if that's the way it was always done, but he asked for this for a specific and intentional purpose. And that's not how it's been done forever.
I think they've always had like 1 or 2, because there's like many presidential debates, and I think one of them is usually doesn't have a studio audience.
I don't think so.
The studio audience is a weird thing though,
because they're always at like colleges and auditoriums. And
not
stuff.
Always. Let me see.
Didn't Trump bring Bill Clinton's sexual abuse accusers to one of the debates?
He brought all of them.
Yeah. So that always comes into play, like who you're going to bring to have in the audience to psych out the other candidate.
What if it would be like watching Friends without the laugh track, where you hear these guys share all their policies and everybody at home is like, these guys suck.
Yes.
Nothing good was said. No one's clapping.
Yeah. But like they weren't even planning on having debates, right? Until Trump agreed to this.
I don't know. I feel like that the whole debate model got thrown into question. I think it was in the last election where they just went back and forth complaining about the different debates and the different formats and all the norms.
Well, Biden said he would not participate in the debates by the Commission on Presidential Debates, which everyone has always done, even though he's upholding the norms, remember? So then he said, I will debate you twice instead of 3 times if we can do it in June instead of September and October, and only if it's list of these demands. And Trump, it seems like, because CNN tweeted out, like, we'll have this debate on whatever, so it seems like he's agreed to it.
How about this? How about Biden versus Trump in the Sphere in Las Vegas? You get the 3D environment going with, you get 5-minute breaks for power slaps, so Dana White's in charge of the whole thing. They just slap the fuck out of each other. Then you have like entourages, celebs. You do like a ring walkout like they do in UFC.
Yeah.
So Biden comes out with Commander Biden, ready to bite the fuck out of people.
Yep.
And then Trump comes out with Kristi Noem on his arm, ready to take Commander out. The weigh-in would be incredible for that. Just the weigh-in only.
Would love that.
And then the winner gets the Declaration of Independence, like framed.
Let's go.
That's theirs for life.
I actually think I've changed my stance on wanting. I think all the pressure now is on Trump in these debates. I think he needs to really smoke him, because Biden wouldn't say he wants to do this unless he thinks he's in deep trouble, which he is. But if he can string a few sentences together and, like, you know, kind of battle to a stalemate, I think that's a massive win for him.
Yeah, Nikki Haley's corpse is getting votes against Donald Trump right now on the Republican side. So if you just have somebody up there that doesn't look like a fool, there are going to be some Republicans that peel away from Trump.
I think Trump needs to kill him in these.
Well, he also said that, like, Trump's mic has to be turned off when he's talking.
I don't know if
that's like a huge advantage for Biden. That's like Trump's whole thing.
Trump will figure his way around that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if he agreed to the full list of whatever.
He'll just walk over to Biden's podium and use his mic.
Yeah,
that would be a power move.
It would be, yeah.
And then I could see Joe Biden, like, trying to punch him if he did that.
You get invisible fences like dogs set up around your podium.
Oh, where there's like a shock if they cross the boundary?
Yeah. All right, good times. Good times in America. Is
there people out there who are really undecided and a debate is going to settle this score in their brains? Do those people exist?
Not many, no. I wouldn't imagine, but just for perception and momentum, I think it would be very bad for Trump if he didn't smoke Biden in these debates.
I think that the people that say that they're undecided voters, they just say that for the attention. It's like, come talk to me, win me over. They want to be courted, you know? They want to feel like the candidates are addressing them personally. I think they're probably like big egomaniacs.
What's that movie with the guy whose one vote decides the presidential election?
Oh, shit, I don't know. Wait, am I an undecided voter? I'm undecided about voting. Maybe
that does make you an undecided voter.
Okay, shit, fuck. I'm the worst person on earth. This is a quick realization for me. Whoops.
Swing vote.
Vote. Yeah, yes. No, that's
Who's
what?
in that?
You know what?
Kevin Costner.
As PFT commenter goes, so goes America this election. I am the undecided voter. Come woo me with your policies.
Is there anything? I know Trump, no, but is there anything Biden could say that would make you vote for him?
I don't know.
Yeah, you said that before.
He's said a lot of stuff.
If either one of them come out and say, I'm doing universal health care, you would say, I'm in.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, either way. So, Trump, let me know.
Holla at your boy.
Hit me up.
Don't think that's going to happen.
Who knows?
Yeah, word on the street is Trump's still working on his healthcare plan he's going to unveil in these debates.
That would rock.
Word on the street is also that Barron Trump is starting to get involved in politics. So we could see another Trump in like 10 years. He needs to get
involved in AAU basketball.
How old is Kev?
18.
He's like 6'9".
He's graduating high school, solid 6.
Can you imagine if he actually was like a pretty good basketball player and was like going to go to a D1 school? Like that would be amazing.
Duke.
Yeah.
Barron Trump at Duke would be so funny to watch. Yeah.
Trump says he's like choosing which college based off of like which ones have the least amount of free Palestine protests.
Is that
that's actually said. He's like, well, it's time for him to choose a school. And I tell you what, like a big factor is like what schools have this like free Palestine situation under control.
So Baruch College.
So, yeah.
It would be fun. He's going to be like a soccer player, right? He loves soccer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
he does. I know. I mean, he's half Slovenian. Actually, that does not mean anything.
Yeah,
I don't know. Slovenia is not a big soccer country.
You know, those Baltic states. They love. Are they the Baltics?
No,
that's Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Right?
Slovenia is Balkan.
Balkan. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if Barron Trump was on the U.S. national soccer team?
That would be huge for the sport.
That'd be funny.
It says he's a big soccer guy.
Yeah, but
Holland build.
I feel like he's too tall for soccer.
Yeah, are there many tall soccer players?
There are some, yeah. Like Big T said, Netherlands has usually some tall guys.
Erling Haaland, best player in the world right now. He's like 6'6".
Germany. Oh, you were talking about Erling Haaland. Okay, but
as opposed to who?
I thought you were
His
meaning.
Dad?
No, you said Holland. I thought you were talking about the Netherlands, because the Netherlands usually does have some tall players.
Haaland. Erling Haaland.
Yes.
I said Barron has the Holland build.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right about that. But also, like, Netherlands usually has a couple tall strikers.
I didn't know the number one player in the world went back and forth like that. Because for me, it was Ronaldo for a while, and then Mbappe, And now it's this
Mbappe's right there with Haaland right now.
Okay.
Forget
all right,
Messi.
bet.
But it was
Messi
Ronaldo and Messi for the last 15 years, but they're both on the decline.
Got you. And the Venera coming? Damn.
Yeah, passing of the torch. But Haaland scores every game. He's awesome.
He's a beast.
Germany had some big defenders for a while too.
How tall is Van Dijk? Is pretty tall.
Yeah, Czech Republic.
6'5".
I think had a very, very tall striker in 2006, about that size, 6'9", 6'10". So it's possible.
But generally, soccer players are smaller guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Messi's what, 5'6"?
Yeah, he's tiny.
Yeah.
Quicker, shorter movements. Makes sense.
Closer
Lower
to
the ground.
Yeah, closer to the ball. Passing of the torch in soccer, just like the NBA playoffs this year.
Messi's listed at 5'7", which means he's 5'5".
Yeah, how about Bronny being listed at 6'4"? And
6'1".
He's 6'1". Yeah.
He's 6'1".
Yeah, they measured him yesterday.
He kind of killed all the drills, though.
Yeah, I mean, some team's going to draft him.
Yeah.
You think so?
Pritchard's only 6'1", right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
My plan for the Hawks is trade the number 1 pick and DeJounte Murray and whatever else it takes to get KD, then draft Bronny so LeBron comes, and then you have Trae Young, LeBron, and KD for 2 years.
There's a few sources that I saw, some dudes that actually have had a lot of success in predicting these things in the past, that have said that LeBron is going to go to Atlanta.
Atlanta's always kind of mentioned with LeBron that when he went to Miami, they were like, "Oh, look out for Atlanta!" It's never gonna. We'd have to draft Bronny.
That's
your
lottery ticket. Yeah,
that's
right.
what I heard, yeah.
But that'd be fucking sick.
It would be.
Trae Young, LeBron still playing well. Get KD reinvigorated.
So that's the thing about super team. People are saying super teams are dead. I think it's just the players, the superstars from the past generation, are getting older, so when they try to make super teams, they're not as good as they used to be. Whereas now you've got a new generation of superstars that are growing up in teams that drafted them, and then maybe 7 years from now, they're going to change teams, form super teams, and those super teams will be good, and then it'll go through the whole cycle all over again.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this is it's been fun NBA playoffs. I like it. By the way, I did a bad job off the top. Donnie's here. I don't know if I said that. Donnie's here. Today we're going to get into mermaids and mushrooms. And Jake Plummer, former NFL great quarterback, is going to join us. He owns and operates a mushroom farm in Colorado. We got to go spend time out there for Grit Week a couple of years ago. And so he's going to talk to us about mushrooms. Okay, we're going to get into mermaids and mushrooms in a second. There's a couple things Big T sent over that I want to address. Number one, RIP Red Lobster. Pour one out for a real one.
Pour one out for the Cheddar Bay biscuits.
We got to get our
biscuits.
hands on the biscuits.
The biscuits.
I don't know how we do that.
They have.
It's the mix. They've definitely
They
got
have mix.
no disrespect to the Irish people, obviously, but they've got big packets of just Cheddar Bay biscuit mix that has not been used to make biscuits. They have to.
Is that sold online?
It's probably worth its weight in cocaine.
I bought that growing up. There's boxed mix of Cheddar Bay biscuit.
So it's very funny. The reason why they're going out of business, they offered an endless shrimp deal. So they had all you can eat shrimp, and the executives thought that it was going to turn the chain around because, obviously people aren't going out to, I guess, chain restaurants as much as they used to. But Red Lobster's owner is a seafood supplier called the Thai Union Group, and they said it lost too much money on the chain, and it had to cut bait, and so they're going bankrupt because people ate too much shrimp. So shout out to the people of America.
Yeah,
isn't this the dream? We did it. We
bankrupted Red Lobster.
Yeah, when they offered this, there were so many people that were probably like, "Oh, I'm going to put them out of business. Let's go, honey. It's date night." And we did it, guys.
I didn't go to my first Red Lobster till I was 27 or something like that. 26. I grew up around real lobster.
Real seafood, yeah.
Yeah. But my first time I went, I had a great time.
Yeah, it wasn't bad food.
There's nothing like walking in, seeing the tank of the lobsters that are about to get boiled.
That's actually wild, though.
No, I always loved that. I thought that was hilarious.
Did you scout them out?
I just thought it gave me a sick sense of, I don't know what the word is.
You get five-star prospects for certain lobsters.
Yeah, it was just funny. Like, they're about to kill these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're playing God a little bit.
I've never felt guilt dropping a lobster into a pot, but now there's like research coming out and they're like, well, actually lobsters can feel more pain than you'd think. And I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're animals. I'm sure they feel pain.
Well, for a while they said that they didn't
look
feel
like,
pain.
They look like sea bugs. I just assumed like they don't feel pain the same way humans do because boiling alive would not be pleasant.
Big Seafood told us for a long time lobsters don't have the part of their brain that feels the pain. And then you had other people saying, well, actually, no, they feel more pain than anybody else. And then I think the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but they definitely feel pain. They're getting boiled or steamed alive.
It's tough.
It's tough life being a lobster. Although I think you do live to be like 70 years old.
That's life at the bottom of the food chain.
It is. Yeah. So
Big T, you don't feel any. This is great because like I do, but I partake. It is what it is. Like it's my moral vice, I guess. Do you feel any kind of like sorrow for animals that we slaughter?
Lobsters, no.
Okay.
I do think it's kind of like if I had to do it to like a pig, I would maybe feel a little bad.
Right.
But then I'd eat it and then it would, But like on the whole, no.
I killed a chicken one time. No big deal.
Chicken, I could do no
And then we
problem,
ate it?
I think.
bare hands.
No, I had to like saw off its head.
Oh.
Oh, that's brutal.
And then
like with a
it
saw,
moves
like a real
around
saw?
for a good like 30 seconds or like a minute after you chop its head off.
Yeah, the nerves are twitching. It always amazed me when I started to watch old episodes of Survivor, how quickly people become ready to just like drive a knife into a pig's throat, like a wild pig that they find. It's been like
They do that on Survivor?
Yeah, there was this one episode. It was like maybe a week and a half into the show. They were hungry because I think all they had was like rice or cornmeal or something. They couldn't catch any fish in the stream, and I think it was the Outback season of Survivor. And then this one guy just got a knife and he chased a pig down and like jumped on it and just stabbed the fuck out of it and killed it.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot harder for me to kill anything larger than a chicken. But I know Mark Zuckerberg, like each year he chooses like a new goal, and he had one goal that he was only going to eat meat that he had killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
So learned how to kill a goat and stuff.
Smoking meats.
I think that's fair because I don't know. I don't know if you guys are like that, but there are some people, they're like, I love chicken, but I have to eat it skinless, boneless, and fried because they don't like the idea that it actually came from an animal. And I'm like, all right, you got to come to grips with the fact you're eating an animal.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, I only eat chicken nuggets because you can't tell it used to be an animal.
No, you can't say that. You have to admit to it.
Yeah.
That's an odd position to take.
Yeah. I know there are people like that. I mean, there are some people that just can't eat meat off a bone because it creeps them out too much.
Yeah, it reminds them of the actual body structure of the animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are hypocrites. They don't like the fact that their food is killed, but it is killed. But they're like, it's good, tastes good. I feel like I find myself in that category where I don't like the idea of going up to a pig and like slitting its throat. But
I
goddamn,
do
it's
love
bacon.
the idea of bacon.
Bacon is very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ideas, to be honest.
I draw like my moral, like, cause I'm cool with all that, right? It is what it is. Like I've moved on. But I feel like I can't eat octopus. Like I can't do it. Like
Because they're smart.
No, I think it probably just
smart.
weirds you out, right?
No.
Or
Because
no?
they're smart as shit.
Oh.
Because they're like extremely intelligent. Like
What if
Hey.
you've eaten the smartest pig that ever lived?
that's
The smartest pig's probably smarter than a lot of
smarter.
dogs. Most dogs. I
would
think
agree with that.
pigs and
yeah.
dogs are around the same.
Yeah,
Really?
pretty
Yeah.
alike. Yeah, I just can't do the octopus. I feel like that is a special creature in my eyes. I can't do it. That's where I draw my line.
But fuck shrimp.
Fuck
Yeah, no,
shrimp.
I don't think nobody really cares about
Shrimp
like that.
don't feel pain. Come
I
on, let's
barely
be
count
real.
those as an animal.
They're not
Yeah,
alive.
it's plankton.
Plant of the sea.
Yeah, they grow
It's a
out.
plant.
They grow out of the ground and they're already
true.
fried, and you pick them off the fried shrimp tree, and then that's their purpose.
But what about
which
lab grown
reminds me,
meat?
Did y'all know that vegetables don't exist?
Go on.
No.
It's wild. Okay, so like I was watching this comedian, this lady that I follow. She's funny. She like went on this like whole diatribe, and I thought it was funny joke and shit. But like she started breaking it down, and I started looking into it a little bit more. I was like, holy shit, they really don't. Like, so from a botanical perspective, there's no such thing as vegetables. Vegetables was a term invented to like curate all of the things that aren't fruits. So it's not an actual botanical like it's not like a species. There's nothing that's a definitive characteristic of a vegetable. It's what we use for like a culinary purpose. And so like fruits are like the seeds and the yada yada yada. But vegetables, if you ask like, what is a carrot, that's a root. Spinach,
legumes,
all that stuff. There's specific like scientific definitions of them, but there is no like vegetables aren't like a scientific, I guess, categorization of food. It's something that we did.
We just took all the shit that doesn't taste good and we're like, that's a vegetable.
Basically. Yeah.
Like, because what does broccoli have in common with Brussels sprout or with a carrot? Not a lot.
Exactly.
No,
They're like totally different types of plants.
It's not an animal.
But it's nothing you'd ever want to eat raw.
Exactly. So if you ask like a botanist, do vegetables exist? They'll say no. It's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's tubers, legumes. There's got to be some term for broccoli.
Mushrooms or fungi.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. The fact that we just like throw fungus in the vegetable group.
Yeah, wow. It's just like a whole bunch of. But it was so that I think it was like maybe 17th, 18th century where we just culinarily, if that's a word, categorized everything. It's fascinating. I didn't know that.
That is crazy. You know what I learned the other day? This is apropos of nothing, but I just wrote it down when I found this out. Did you know that in Russia they have McDonald's and IKEA, but they're not called McDonald's and IKEA?
Yeah, because when the war started, they had to like McDonald's pulled out of Russia, and I was like, wait, aren't the local people gonna like riot if there's like no more McDonald's overnight? But they just changed the name and like took over all of the stores.
Yeah, it's the old theory that two countries with McDonald's have never fought a war against each other.
Yeah,
which I think is very incorrect at this point. But Russia had McDonald's through sanctions. The companies pulled out, and what they did was they just took the golden arches and they turned them on their side. So it's not technically a McDonald's anymore, and it's run by like this local group that said it's going to be the same but better.
Okay. But I think they also just like stole all the recipes, so it pretty much like is the same.
Yeah, it's still like greasy fast food, so they still got McDonald's and IKEA over there.
And if they change it to the side, is that like a Russian character in the acrylic alphabet?
It might be like maybe it looks like an E. I don't know if that's a character or not. What if they took the IKEA furniture and instead of the standard Allen wrench, they just added another side to the hexagon or whatever?
Oh yeah.
So you can't use Swedish IKEA wrenches on Russian IKEA furniture.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
This is like Coming to America. Whack Arnold's. You remember Whack Arnold's? No, not Whack Arnold's.
McDowell's. Yeah.
McDowell's.
Because I was thinking like if we were in a war and all of a sudden they're like, okay, because of the war, we're gonna have to close down all of the McDonald's in the country, the American people would riot.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
There would be protests everywhere.
Like, do we have any big Russian chains in America?
I can't think of anything.
You would think we do, but I guess not.
No, there's no like big pierogi. No big.
What's like a Russian dish? Like what is? I don't even know.
Borscht.
Beet soup.
You like borscht. I'm not a big borscht guy.
I'm not a big borscht guy either, actually.
Okay. Maybe I just assumed because
it's soup.
You like your
that.
soup.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's a red soup. It's made from beets. Borscht, I think. Borscht. Yep.
That shit looks horrible.
Yeah.
You put sour cream in it. But yeah, if there was like a Russian chain restaurant here in America, I don't know if we'd be sending money to Ukraine.
It's kind of funny how McDonald's backed out, but Burger King is still alive and well in Russia.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting. The King's got some splaining to do.
Yes. I think now they're just trying to sell their like ownership stake to Russia.
What are y'all's thoughts on Burger King?
The rodeo cheeseburger slaps.
I think it gets a lot of undue hate.
I think they've got some of the best desserts in the biz.
Mm-hmm.
think it's
Their pies
okay.
are
They
great.
do like pies.
Yeah, their pies are really good. Their fries are every 5 years. Their fries are good, and then they change them.
I don't hate the fries.
I think we've had this conversation regarding burger. You like the Burger King fries?
I don't hate them.
I like the old iteration of the Burger King fries.
I like the Burger King fries. I think maybe because the only time I eat Burger King is like a late night type vibe after a long night, and the burgers be dry. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm not getting the best that Burger King has to offer, but in my experience, it's always been like a very dry burger. Like,
I think a lot of people hate on the King for no reason.
We fought a war, Big T, in 1776 to not have a king anymore.
That's fair enough. You want Burger President?
Burger President, yeah.
Does kind of have a nice ring to
Burger
it.
President, yeah.
Burger Press.
Taco Presidente.
They change the recipe every 4 years.
That's problematic.
Yeah. So, Donnie, you were just asking about lab-grown meat?
Yeah, because I think that is going to become a huge thing in the future. I've already started eating these plant-based chicken nuggets that my wife buys, and those are actually pretty good. You just got to throw a little sauce on them, and you can't really tell the difference. But lab-grown meat, you wouldn't have to eat plant-based. It would be meat just grown in the lab. And there's a lot of companies there investing money into it that soon, you could grow a steak or something like that.
Are you getting paid to say this?
No, I'm
By
not.
Big
I'm
Plant?
just I'm wondering.
Donnie, how do you feel about eating bugs?
No,
You a big bugs guy?
Yeah.
I'm not-
You'll owe
I know-
nothing. You'll be happy. You'll eat the
I know
bugs.
there are people trying to use, because we have tons of bug protein on the planet. They're trying to repurpose bug protein into bug burgers and all sorts of stuff. I'm not super excited about that. I'm not pro or anti lab grown meat at the moment. I'm just wondering what you guys think about, because I have never tried it, but I think now it is possible to purchase, and we're only going to see more of it in the future.
I would try it. I would definitely try it. And I'm very convinced that after it becomes a thing, the Japanese are going to have some fire lab-grown meat.
If you can grow the perfect marbled steak.
They're going to grow some awesome meat.
But
it's definitely weird. But I mean,
I think it's the future. I think that will be, because if you look at our some of our big issues today is earmuffs, Big T, climate change, and one of the biggest problems for climate change is factory farming, and so it's 35 or 40% of it actually. I could be off on a number, but it's a huge deal, and so we have to start finding other ways. And to me, science has always been the innovative fact of change. So I think it's the future. I'm down to try it. If they can have a good substitute, I'm down, because I think eating animals is our modern day slavery. I think we're gonna look back in
Hang on.
Yeah, hear me out. I think eating animals in 300 years, they're gonna look back at us and be like, how did your grandparents even think that was okay?
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, that I
equating it to slavery is
it's worse.
Step.
I don't say worse. I don't say worse.
What?
I took it back, fam. I took it back.
we never ate the slaves.
That's well.
No.
So I think as you hierarchically, when we look at things, we always place humans above, right? Naturally.
Rightfully so.
I don't disagree with that. But I think this is why I say this is our slavery. Our generation we are currently participating in is a massive massacre, and it's inhumane. Like I said, the way you guys think about dogs, I think they're gonna think about animals like that, every animal in the future. And so the way that we slaughter them, it's very grotesque. I don't know if you've ever seen slaughterhouses. The shit is actually, they hang cows upside down, and their necks whop, and they just bleed out. It's really wild. It's very inhumane, dog.
It's actually shocking to me that Arian is so like what you're talking about. You're so entrenched in that, but the animals that people love, you hate.
Listen.
Every other animal, you're this is worse than slavery, and then dogs, you hate them.
That's not true. I don't say that we should do that to dogs. I just don't think about dogs. I don't like dogs. They're not cute and fuzzy to me. They're just animals to me, right?
You don't want one in your house.
Yeah, I don't want one in my house, but I don't go out of my way to fucking slaughter them, bro. If I was really about that shit, I would be a dog vigilante. And at night,
no, I know. I'm just saying.
Pets. That's not the case, brother.
I'm just saying you would think that someone who has the positions that you have on like animals for food and stuff would like be a huge like animal person across the board. That's all I was
I'm actually a kind, very kind soul. You know what I'm saying? You push me, I can get there. But like I'm actually a kind dude. And so like that's my nature. My nature is to like protect and to love. That's my nature. You know what I'm saying? Obviously I'm a human and flawed. You know, I'll piece somebody up if they try me. But I've grown a lot. And animals is something that I feel like if you care about one, by proxy, you kind of have to care about all of them, or else you're kind of being a little bit hypocritical. I think we all are in our own rights. We all have some hypocrisy. But I think the veil that we give dogs, we're going to extend that as time persists. Because just like you said, when you start to factor in, do they feel pain? Do they not feel pain? It gets a little sketchy.
Yeah. So what Arian's saying about like future generations, I agree with that. I'm not saying that it's anything close to slavery, but there's a good chance that 200 years from now they look back and they're like, man, those guys were assholes.
I agree with that.
I don't think.
And frankly,
it's
I
not
want
close to slavery. I don't want everybody thinking I was saying dogs killing shit is the same. It's not the same. I said it's our version.
I want to be very clear too. If my grandkids are listening to this, you can go ahead and tear my statue down. That's fine. Granddaddy was an asshole. He was a flawed man. He liked the taste of a pork chop every now and again. Loved chicken wings. Probably was responsible for the death of several thousand chickens over his life. I was a bad guy, but goddamn, they tasted really fucking good.
Where would you
regret it?
I don't think it's going to be people are going to look back. I can't believe you ate meat because we like have to, eat meat to survive. Well, I guess we like don't need meat to survive, but they're going to be like, wow, you guys ate a shit ton of meat. Like that was probably
you guys ran up the score a little
aggressive.
Bit. Yeah.
But I think in 100 years, it's going to be like, all right, kids, only lab-grown meat during weekdays, and then on the weekends, we can eat real meat.
Yeah.
It's going to be like more of a
you gotta walk,
special occasion
thing. You can crawl before you can walk.
Where would you want your statue to be?
I don't want a statue. I think statues are weird.
But if you had one, next to James Madison?
Yeah, so I'd look tall.
How tall was he?
I think he was like 5'3", 5'4".
Little fella.
Actually, yeah. So if there's never going to be a statue, I don't want a statue. But if one were to be built directly next to the James Madison statue, would be perfect for me because it'd be like, damn, PFT was really fucking tall.
Hold on, I'm gonna see how much statues cost.
They also don't have to make your statue life size. Like that's the cool thing about a statue. You can make it whatever size you want.
Yeah, it's actually like kind of weird that they made James Madison's statue
exactly
life
his size. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
considering how small it was.
Now, hear me out, brother. The cost of custom making a life-size bronze statue typically ranges from $5,000 to $15,000. Now that is doable to fuck with you. So,
and we have like a big like unveiling in front of the Barstool Chicago office.
There might be a statue of PFT in front of Barstool offices one day if I can garner the correct.
No,
and then you would have to take it home, and then everybody like, "Why do you have a statue of yourself?"
I'm gonna be the first person to tear down their own statue.
Tear down your own statue,
and then Arian's gonna be marching like Arian's gonna have a tiki torch in his hand, marching around the statue, trying to protect our history.
Maybe you can donate it to leftist college, like a controlled, when they give the homeless people heroin, you can give them the statue to put a keffiyeh on and spray paint. So that they don't have to do it to the other statue.
To the person that founded their college, yeah, just trash this one.
Yeah.
Like have at it. Yeah. That's actually not a bad idea to build statues of like the worst people and then put them up on college campuses to give like a good target, a healthy target.
Outlet. Yeah. Bro, everybody wants to protest.
Yeah, because I'm sure it's fun.
I let the kids drink when I'm home, when I can supervise.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna put a Bill Cosby statue on Temple University. It's a good idea. Big T's full of good ideas today. You guys want to talk about mermaids and mushrooms?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Real quick, y'all see that? Last day, did y'all see the portal thing?
Yeah, shut down.
There was that portal that was basically just I guess it's like a live FaceTime from was it New York to Dublin.
Yeah.
Yes. A cool idea.
I think it's actually because of all of the like city art that is put up, a lot of that shit is very questionable and kind of That's actually a pretty dope idea that I feel like can be the starting point for a lot of cool shit that is interweaving technology and art. I thought it was dope, and then I got shut down because the lady was flashing people.
Well, there was a bunch of crazy stuff. The Irish were putting pictures of 9/11.
Yeah, that was a little worse than tits.
I don't want to go. I don't want to blame the Irish. Let's not.
But I'm saying there were good and bad people on both sides.
Yes.
Let's not say like all the Irish are just obsessed with showing 9/11 pictures. It was
a troll.
Well, but that did go viral.
A possibly, definitely drunk Irish person put up a picture in the portal of 9/11, and then people in New York got mad about that.
It was debaucherous on both sides.
It's debaucherous on both sides.
But, I think that's the point of the portal. Like, maybe don't bring your kids to the portal, but just know if you want to check it out, you're going to see some crazy shit. And, like, I'm sure it would attract a lot of tourists.
Maybe we have different portals. Maybe we have a kids portal.
A kids portal.
Then, like, a rated PG portal, PG-13, R, X.
Yeah. And it's like...
I liked it, and I don't think that was enough to get it taken down.
Yeah, absolutely not.
People
and also
going to show
just like
boobs,
showing
people,
kids.
Yeah, people going to troll, people going to do stupid shit, but that literally is the point. And I think that's just the onset of it. I think as time grows, people will, get over it and not do crazy shit.
Yeah. If it ended up just being like 5 homeless people with their pants down on the New York side and like 5 homeless dudes in Dublin with their pants down, and like that was just a constant, then it's probably time to close it down. But
it's amazing to me that nobody that was building this stopped to think about, like, what if people just act like assholes?
Yeah, and it's probably 1 out of 1,000 people that acts like an asshole. I still think they should leave it up. It's good content.
Well,
I think it's dope.
Also, it's a true representation of the human experience.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's going to be assholes. This is what we do. We're going to troll people. We're going to be...
And actually, right before the 9/11 photo, someone was holding up an RIP Pop Smoke, which, like, that was very nice because he was a New Yorker who was shot. And, he's trying to show some love. And then, one asshole brings up September 11th. But
do you think it was not in the same vein as the 9/11 one, though?
No, he wasn't like, oh, haha, Pop Smoke got killed. I think he was just trying to show love because he was just like, oh, New York. I bet people in New York love Pop Smoke. I'm going to pay my respects.
Well, because it was at the same time as the guy holding up the 9/11 one.
Oh, so maybe he did that to like lull people into a false sense of security?
Well, it was 2 phones, so I don't know if it was the guy's buddy like, haha, Pop Smoke died. I don't know. Maybe it could have been.
I think you control that better than an RIP Pop Smoke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you thinking maybe the person that held up the 9/11 picture was actually just saying, like, this was terrible, never forget?
I do not.
Like,
yeah, we don't know. We don't know that person.
Are you getting? I think he's getting paid by Big Plant. I think you're getting paid by the Irish government.
No, by Big Portal.
Yeah,
by Big Portal.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what.
What would be the equivalent of trolling Irelanders? Like potatoes? Like we just hold pictures of potatoes,
eating fries.
Hold up a photo of the potato famine.
Yeah, just a barren field. Or just a picture of like the King of England.
Doesn't some McDonald's, they do the bucket of fries now, or the basket? You go get one of those, be like, you wish you had some of these right now. Huh?
Or just, a picture of the state of Idaho.
Yeah.
Look what we got, bitch.
Or Ida.
Yeah. A picture of the Titanic made its last stop in Ireland.
Yeah,
that's more of a British thing, though.
Were there more Irish people on it or more Americans? There were probably a lot of Americans on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
it must have been such
a potato famine. Are there a lot of potato famine deniers out there?
There are some,
in the same vein that there's like Holocaust deniers.
There's some potato truthers.
Both sides just should have made fun of the Queen.
Yeah, we got a lot more
Lizzie's
in common.
in a box, in a box. Lizzie's in a box.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
All right. They should put the portal back up.
Yes.
They said they tried to blur it out, tried to invent new technology or new software to upload into it.
What's the upside of the portal?
That's a good question.
It's it was made as like a government funded art installation. So if you look around the city, there's like art things, all over the city. And the majority of them shits is like, come on, fam, like what are we doing? That is actually, it's engaging. It's probably a little bit more, entertaining. And you get to see what's happening in Dublin, Ireland. That's dope.
If there was a way to like talk to people through the portal, it'd be a lot cooler. Because it'd be like
can't hear voices?
I don't think there was audio. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously that would backfire too, but being able to like look in a circle and talk to someone on the other side of the planet, like that would be a cool experience.
I think that would be dope. And if you just start to set up things like that all over the world, that would be
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
But I think you'd want to do it like more exotic places other than Dublin, Ireland, because Dublin and New York are probably more similar than they're different. Like my first time when I went to Dublin, I was like, this place looks like a knockoff Boston, when in reality Boston's a knockoff Dublin. But they're very similar.
Yeah. I mean, our leaders do this all the time. Like presidents, governors, mayors even meet with foreign mayors and just say like, hello, greetings from the United States, or we have much to learn about your culture. But this is actually letting the people do it. Like if Mayor Adams went to that portal in New York City and he was talking to the mayor of Dublin, Ireland or whatever, he would be like, yeah, you guys, there's no lifeguarding positions over here because as we saw from the Titanic, not great swimmers.
Yes.
Yeah. Arian, I don't know if you saw what Mayor Adams said the other day.
Yeah.
That dude's wild.
I think he's universally unliked by the left and the right. I can find me a supporter of him.
So Mayor Adams in a press conference was talking about the immigrant crisis that he has, and he's trying to find ways to have them either in different homes or get them jobs. And he said, here in New York City, we have a big lack of lifeguards at our beaches, and the immigrants are tremendous swimmers, and so why don't we just have them be lifeguards?
And there was a woman sitting next to him who started like nodding enthusiastically. She was like, yeah.
So that's the thing about the mayor of New York. I think the mayor of New York exists just to get clowned by everybody, because there's never been a popular mayor of New York City. I guess Rudy Giuliani after 9/11 was very popular.
Was he trying to make a joke about them like swimming over the Rio Grande?
Well, yeah, but he was being dead serious.
What the fuck?
He's a wild dude.
He said like, we have all these city jobs that are open, like we need lifeguards, and we have this population that's excellent swimmers.
Insane.
Yep. Greatest city in the world.
Better than the guy we got.
So
that's true.
Mermaids. You want to talk mermaids, mushrooms? And again, Jake Plummer's coming on in a little bit.
I have one way to transition from the meat debate into talking about shrooms.
Okay.
I had a friend. He was a big meat eater. He was in Bali, I believe.
That's so funny.
Bali or Vietnam. And he took a lot of shrooms, and he's like walking through a field, and like a cow walked up to him and just wanted to be pet. And he was like, I saw my dog like in the cow's eyes. And I just started petting the cow and like hung out with the cow for the next half hour. And like since that day, he had like a transformative experience. He has gone completely vegan and like hasn't had meat in 5 years because he formed such a bond with this random cow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just had a connection with the guy and recognized like life respects life.
Yeah. Well, he was just like, he was like, I saw it as a dog. Like I saw my own dog like in the cow's face, and like the cow just wanted to be pet for a while. And then like, so like, I don't know, he had a change of heart and couldn't eat meat anymore.
Sometimes when you make eye contact with an animal, it changes your perspective.
Yeah.
Me and a gorilla stared at each other for a while, and I was just like, it was through a glass.
Yeah. Was that at the zoo here?
It was at the zoo, not here. Where was that? That might've been DC.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just have eye contact and you're like, whoa, this is me.
Especially with a gorilla, because you're like, that's a human.
Also went to the Chicago Zoo one time and went to the gorilla house.
Yeah.
Gorilla's problematic. Should be canceled. It was like a male gorilla, and then he had, I think, two of his wives, I think they called them in there, female gorillas that had his children, and then a bunch of kids that are like running around the place and they're all playing and shit. And the female gorilla walked past the male gorilla, and the male gorilla just stared at her and just slapped her in the face. And the female gorilla like ran away, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" It's like, yeah, that's the animal kingdom for you.
Yeah.
Domestic abuse
in the gorilla house. Yeah.
So I had a similar moment to your man's, Donnie. It was at SeaWorld though, when I think I was in high school. You know, you can go underneath and they kind of swimming around. Like one of them orcas like swam. I don't know if it was an orca. It was one of them big ass fish. Could have been an orca, but he swam, and he just made eye contact with me. And I was like, yo, you're a real person, bro. That shit is wild. Like they have feelings.
They're really smart.
Yeah, they have feelings and emotions, and you can feel it. He was looking at me like, "Damn, do you really like this shit?" That's what I felt. I was like, "I do not, sir," and I'm leaving now. I ain't been back to SeaWorld since, man.
Have you watched Blackfish?
Yeah, that shit's horrible, man. It's even worse knowing like one dude is responsible for all of the orcas in captivity. Like they really just milked his sperm. Like impregnates all. I think it was the Tilicum or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah, like he's responsible for the majority of orcas, and so like, could you just imagine having a bunch of kids and then just having to sell them off, and like you don't ever get to meet your family? They have families, they have culture, they have language, all of that shit, and we just like sell them off so we could watch them do flips in water. It's crazy, dog. I'm telling you.
They do cool flips though.
Yeah, it's facts.
God,
it's facts.
Cool. It's pretty cool.
Arian doesn't even know that they're mammals. He keeps calling them fish.
He did call them fish.
Oh, my bad, homie. Yeah, I don't even misgender their taxonomy.
They're just like us.
Before you start on mermaids and mushrooms, though, you kind of explained it to me, but I do feel like it would be beneficial to explain to some people out there listening how you arrived at doing both of these at the same time.
Yeah, so Arian was talking about doing mermaids because he's interested in mermaids, and I did a little bit of research, and there's a prevailing theory. I don't know if it's like 100% accepted, but there's a bunch of hallucinogenic fish that live in the ocean. They have hallucinogenic properties if you eat them, especially their heads.
Pufferfish, right?
Pufferfish they have toxins in them. I don't know if it's hallucinogenic or not.
I think they give
for
you...
like dolphins, it's hallucinogenic, but if like a human tried to do it, it would probably kill you.
That's what it is. Dolphins eat them as drugs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there are some hallucinogenic species. There's some clownfish. There's some rabbitfish, sea breams, sea chubs. That's an awesome name. Surgeonfish, goatfish, mullet, groupers even have a little bit of it in them. And they have hallucinogenic properties. So some people think that mermaids were invented by sailors who would catch these fish, eat them, and then they get high for sometimes days at a time. And this has been confirmed by some like news reporters. Dreamfish especially might have DMT in them. So a few reporters ate the dreamfish, described their strange effects. The most famous user is Joe Roberts. He's a photographer for National Geographic magazine. He broiled the dreamfish in 1960, and after he ate it, he experienced intense hallucinations with a science fiction theme, included futuristic vehicles, images of space exploration, and monuments marking humanity's first trip into space. He had these like very vivid dreams, and there's other people that have eaten fish and documented their experiences as well. But you eat the flesh or the head of the fish, that's where the poison is concentrated, and then you have hallucinations within a couple minutes to a couple hours. They can last for longer than a day. You get dizzy, you lose your balance, you feel tight in your chest, you hallucinate, you lose your motor coordination. You get high as fuck off eating this fish, actually. And sometimes you think that you're going to die. Sometimes it's very frightening. You can have bad trips on it too. You can have itching, the sensation that things are crawling across your skin. Nobody's ever died. At least no one's ever said that or reported a death from eating a hallucinogenic fish. Obviously, the pufferfish, the blowfish, if you eat the wrong part of it, you can die. And people die from that occasionally. But, it's basically like LSD if you eat some of these fish. So they're in the Mediterranean, which is where a lot of the first mermaid sightings happened. The Mediterranean around the Iberian Peninsula, so like Spain, Portugal, the north coast of Africa, and slightly out into the Atlantic Ocean, which is where a lot of these European voyages were setting sail from Spain, Portugal, Italy, France, those places. So they would catch these fish, then they'd eat them, and they would hallucinate, and they would think that they would see sea creatures sometimes. And that's where people think that mermaids came from. So when I was looking into that, I was like, let's just expand it a little bit. Let's talk about mermaids and mushrooms and psychedelics. And Jake Plummer is an expert on mushrooms, so want to talk to him about that. But yeah, the very first mermaid in mythology was actually in Syria in 1000 BC. So there was a fertility goddess that was diving into a lake to take on the form of a fish. The other gods would not allow her to give up her great beauty, so her bottom half became a fish while the top half remained in human form. I think people were just really horny. I think you're at sea for so long that you're like, I want to fuck this fish.
Yeah.
Even fish start to look good to you.
Well, I think like a seal, if you see a seal from a distance, like its head could look like a human popping out of the water.
Yeah.
And then you're
for
like,
sure.
Yeah.
And their body kind of has that mermaid tail to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. People just, I think that sailors, they're just horny. They're drunk, they're horny. And when you're out at sea for 2 months, everything starts to look like you could fuck it.
Yes.
They're like, what if if this fish had tits, I would fuck the shit out of this fish. And then they just do drawings of it.
And then someone jumps off of the boat, like to try to fuck it and is never seen again. And that's like where the stories of the sirens come from.
Yeah.
Like the mermaids that would sing to you until you just like, you're so attracted to them, you just dive in and then they kill you.
But everybody has cabin fever on the boat. So the guy that jumped overboard, you just go back and you're like, yeah, he fell in love with a half woman, half fish at the bottom of the ocean. Now he's living down there in marital bliss for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Also, old, like ancient Greek myths, horny as fuck.
Yeah.
Like they're fucking everything back then.
Always. Yeah. Well, so were the Greeks.
Yeah. They
were fucking everything.
Yeah, that's true. Zeus was like fucking goats, fucking cows. So any like demigod was because Zeus just fucked a new animal.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So the Syrian mermaid legend, they drew a picture of her, and that got passed down in like storytelling over the years. There's also in Mesopotamia, there's a myth of Wanis. It's a male fish god from 5,000 years ago. That's more of a fish. It's a god that's also a fish. The body of both a man and a fish, which is very similar to a bunch of the old gods that had like half their bodies as different species, half their gods as humans, but it wasn't like accepted that there are these mermaids that live in the sea. But the Greeks got really into the concept of mermaids. As Donnie mentioned, the sirens, the tritons, the nereids, and Thessalonike is the sister of Alexander the Great. Some people said that she was a mermaid too. Some mermaid people, it will shock you to learn this, but there's a bunch of people online that are really into the study of mermaids and just like all in, kind of like ufologists are.
Yeah.
Except for mermaids. So they're trying to find them. There's the aquatic ape theory of human evolution. And some people online have kind of adapted that to say the aquatic apes, like we evolved from aquatic apes.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people say that there's also another species of kind of half human, half ape that evolved underwater that never got out of the water.
And that kind of makes sense because like whales used to be land animals, and then they just spent more and more time in the water until they lost their legs and grew flippers, and now they spend their entire time in the ocean. So if that happened with one type of mammal, who's to say it couldn't happen with apes?
Is that true? That whales?
You didn't know that?
No.
Whales were land. Whales were land mammals. That's why they'll go. They still need oxygen. They go up and they still have to breathe.
Yeah, watch. I'll show you a photo of a whale. Yeah,
whales
they used to have
whales,
legs. They used to look kind of like a hippo.
If you look at whales' anatomy now, they still have hip bones. If you look at all of their fins, they have the same extremities that we do. It looks like a human hand. All of them.
Do you think that?
It was almost like a wolf.
Oceanic mammals.
This is what whales.
Oh shit! Just a giant, like almost wolf capybara type thing.
Yeah, and you can see. Yeah, so
they had hair.
It went like.
That's crazy. So the hippopotamus is related to the whale. Yeah. Well, I'll be damned. That'd be funny if they were like snakes and they just crawled around like a giant snake the size of a blue whale just slithering around on its stomach.
Actually, I was watching because I fall
Dune.
asleep to a lot of evolutionary documentaries and like universal documentaries. Just it's fascinating shit. And I think one of them, I remember listening about. They always look for like transitional species from like aquatic life to land mammals. And I think actually, ironically enough, we just talked about Tillicum. I think there was one that was. It's like Tillicum or something like that, which is what I think they named him after. Could be wrong about that, but which was a transitional species that was both aquatic and land dwelling.
Yeah,
but also
like,
love the aquatic ape theory. It was, I think it was Alistair Hardy. That was the first dude who proposed it. And his theory was that basically we split off, from the great apes, and that there were us and then them. We were fighting for land resources like by the sea lines, and basically ran them into the water. And so that was his basic. I mean, all this is like refuted, but it's interesting to think about. But that was his basic definition of how they ended up being mermen and merwomen.
There's also a German mermaid named Undine. And the German mermaid is a freshwater sprite. She is immortal. She lives forever, but she has no soul. But she can obtain a soul by marrying a human and bearing him a child. Harrison Bucker's nodding his head. Yeah, they're making a lot of sense. Legend tells that she married a human, had a kid, after which she had a soul, and she started to age. And her husband then cheated on her, and she cursed him and returned to the water. So that she went up there, got knocked up. He says, "No, babe, I'm with you for the long term." And then he stepped out on her. And then she's like, I'm taking my baby and going home, back to the water. And then an entire species, which would also imply that every other mermaid since then is the product of incest.
If you go far back enough, I think, aren't we all?
Yeah.
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 Who was the first? Wait, so Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve had Cain and Abel. But then how did Cain and Abel have kids if they didn't have any daughters?
I've not read the Bible.
There was a daughter.
I actually didn't. Adam and Eve had a lot more than Cain and Abel. Didn't they have like a bunch of kids, but we only hear about Cain and Abel?
Cain, Abel, and Seth. But of course daughters as well.
Seth? There was a Seth?
Yeah, there was a Seth. KB's an expert on Seth.
That's like
if you ever want to have him on.
That's the Cooper Manning of
Yep.
Adam and Eve's kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. It is. I literally had no idea till like KB wrote a blog on Seth like his first year at the company.
Seth is such a funny name for the third kid.
Genesis 5:4, the days of Adam after he fathered Seth were 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. However, the Bible does not provide specific names or details about these other children.
Okay.
It's wild to think humanity started with incest. That shit is crazy as fuck.
I guess it doesn't go wrong all the time.
Yeah. Go on.
Well, no. Because like back in like
the
royal family, like
it's
bad,
brother. But it's also given us tea. So who's to say whether or not it's good?
Well, just like royal families, they like always used to have kids with their cousins, and like some would come out like super fucked up, either deformed or just psychotic, and then every once in a while they would get a good one.
I'm confused as to your argument here, brother. Are you saying that it's not a bad idea?
Oh no, it's not. I mean, I think there's enough humans now that like you shouldn't have to resort to incest, but
resort to it.
I'm not a proponent.
Listen, if a man is out in a field for several days at a time, you look around, and you're like, well, I guess it's incest. There's nothing else here.
The lineage is gonna die with me, brother.
There's like I said, there's mermaids across like all
Did y'all
cultures.
see that clip that went viral the other day? It was of that YouTuber, some dude, and it just starts out by them kissing. It was like him kissing another girl, and then they stop, and she goes, "Well, I'm never doing that again." He's like, "Yeah, that was kind of weird." He's like, "Well, thanks guys, thanks for watching. Shout out to my sister for participating."
I've not seen that.
Stops. I gotta
wild.
find that clip. That shit's crazy, though.
That's a TikTok trend too.
What?
Kissing your sister?
Kissing your sibling?
No, it's a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and it'll be the girlfriend saying, "If you want to get to him, you got to get through me first." And then she kisses the boyfriend and then says, "Yeah, best big brother ever." But it's like the boyfriend usually doesn't know that
so it
she's
could have
gonna
been
say that.
That's so weird. Yeah, not all things should be trends.
Yeah. I don't like how TikTok, like one person will make a funny joke and then it just becomes a trend for everyone to copy that joke.
Yeah, to make the exact same joke.
Yeah, like it doesn't always inspire new jokes.
Well, that's how it took off. Was just somebody would do a dance and then
and people
somebody else
would
be
try
like,
to copy that
I'm
dance.
going to do that dance. Now I invented that dance.
Yeah.
So lots of mermaids across all cultures. There's England, New Zealand, South Korea has their own legend of a mermaid. China has mermaids with webbed feet and hands. So China got freaky with it. They said, okay, we're gonna have the tail, but we're gonna give it feet, but the feet are gonna be webbed and the hands are gonna be webbed too, like a platypus kind of.
Yeah, and that's similar to Kevin Costner in Waterworld. Like at that point, he had started to evolve, and so he had gills behind his ears. He looked like a normal human, and then his toes were actually webbed to help him swim. And I think he had just evolved because they had been like living after the polar ice caps melted.
You think?
And you want to talk about a remake? Waterworld would be a fire remake because that movie was hard, bro.
Dude, I love that movie. Apparently, it got horrible reviews when it came out, but like
really,
that was one of like my favorite movies seeing in the theaters as a kid.
It's one of the biggest flops of all time.
Yeah, it is. I loved it.
The budget was huge on it, and they marketed it to be this is the next big movie going experience. They thought it was going to define the '90s, and then nobody liked it. But it was a good concept.
A remake could be in order for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was young at the time, but I was enthralled.
I like it.
I saw
like a year ago.
The bad guys controlled the cigarette trade, I think. So they were like called the Smokies, I think.
Smokers, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't just that. They controlled all the oil. So they had huge like boats of like oil tanks.
Yes. And then they also all chain smoked cigarettes. And spoiler alert, that ends up being their downfall.
They got to update that to like just this one roving band of pirates has all the jewel pods.
Yeah. Yes. And then Greta Thunberg is like one of the leaders. She's the hero. I told you this was going to happen.
It's just Greta Thunberg killing everyone. She's like, you're destroying the planet. You're destroying the planet.
Yeah.
You're destroying the planet.
You've already destroyed the planet once. I'm not going to let you do it again.
Yeah. And then
I haven't heard from her recently.
And then she wins.
She recently got arrested.
Did she?
That's right. I did see that.
What'd she do? She's got to have a rap sheet by now, huh?
Yeah.
She's going to have a hard time finding a job.
She was just protesting in front of some spot, but she must have done something to get arrested because you're allowed to protest.
Do you think she has a routine when she gets to prison where she knows exactly like what to do, all the like jail tricks? She starts making hooch.
Well, she's still really young, right?
Yeah, she's like 19 or something.
Okay, so I don't think she ever ends up doing hard time.
She's protesting for Palestine now.
Oh, okay. So she's just. I thought like global warming was her only thing, but she might just be a protester in general.
She also just might like getting arrested.
Jane Fonda. That's Jane Fonda's thing.
You almost got arrested, right? Or like
I've been arrested before.
But how about since working for Barstool?
I don't think it was technically arrest. I've been detained by authorities twice.
Being detained by authorities is a lot of fun.
It is so much fun.
Yeah.
One time it was the
Can
FBI.
you elaborate?
Yeah, it was the FBI.
Well, how was it fun?
It's a rush, you know?
Yeah. You're not free to go.
You feel like a badass.
You got to ask that question, though. You say, am I being detained or am I free to go?
Yep.
Yeah,
You feel like it's fun. It's fun to do hood rat shit with your friends. You're breaking the law. There's an authority figure in front of you wearing a windbreaker, and you're in the basement of the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, I still call it Phillips Arena. But
it's the same building, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you're in this back office, and two FBI agents are talking to you about how you got into Super Bowl media night, what your plans were, and you just lied to them, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So you're admitting to lying to the FBI?
Yeah, I didn't. I did not tell them the complete truth.
Interesting.
Well, I'm not a rat.
Is the statute of limitations up on that?
No, I'm not. This was a stop snitching moment because I was fucking around. I was doing something that I knew that was against the rules for the NFL. There were people that helped me be able to sneak into that media night. I didn't want to get them in trouble for anything, so I just made something up. But I wasn't there to do anything bad.
You could have just not said anything.
Yeah, I basically didn't say anything. I was like, I'm not going to tell you that. And then they asked me where I got the pictures. This also, the exact same thing happened at the Westminster Kennel Club show back in like 2017. I snuck into there using a forge.
Far less cool.
Yeah, very, very far less cool. But they were asking me, where'd you get this credential from? And I was like, I found a picture of it online. Somebody posted a picture of their credential. So I logged on to Photoshop myself, and I whipped it right up.
Will you tell me how you got into Media Day?
No.
Oh,
Because I think you're
cool,
the feds. I think you talk to the police.
I feel like Hank should always be your fall guy. Should always just put it all on Hank.
Yeah, it's Hank. He's the mastermind.
Yeah.
Somewhere the FBI has this giant bulletin board and it's got the hierarchy, and it's Hank at the top. And got him circled. We're gonna nail this bitch. So more mermaid sightings. So Henry Hudson was the first European that sailed up the Hudson River and explored the bay that now bear his name. In 1608, Hudson noted in his logbook that a few of his crew had spotted a mermaid swimming close to the ship's side, looking up at them. The sailors claimed that from the navel up, her back and breasts were like a woman's, but when she dove under the water, they saw her tail, which was like the tail of a porpoise. It sounds like they were fucking with Henry Hudson.
They're not the only ones to have seen that, though.
They're not the only ones?
Well, I mean, we have a whole thing of other people who've seen similar things.
That's true. But I just don't know. Like New York City mermaids? Are there mermaids around New York?
Hey, I'm swimming here.
John Smith. You guys know old Johnny Smith?
Of course.
Colonized Virginia. Maybe married Pocahontas, but not really. That was weird in school. I don't know if you guys were ever taught this, but growing up in Virginia, we had like a month, maybe 2 months that we spent on strictly Virginia history and all the old colonies. And somewhere along the lines, John Smith and John Rolfe got turned into the same person.
Yes.
And they both married Pocahontas. But I think John Rolfe married Pocahontas, but in all the stories that were told, Pocahontas fell in love with John Smith. John Rolfe is the biggest cuck in United States history.
Yeah, Rolfe was the one who married her, but then John Smith claimed he was kidnapped by like the chief of the local tribe, and he was about to kill John Smith, but then Pocahontas had fallen in love with him and was like, don't kill him. And that's like how he got free. But I think John Smith was also a prolific liar. So
yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
John Rolfe, poor John Rolfe. But John Smith was on the ocean even after he founded the Virginia colony. Couldn't get that bug out of his system. He kept sailing. And in 1611, he sailed off an island in the West Indies. He saw a woman swimming with all possible grace who, despite her long green hair, was by no means unattractive. The intrigued Captain Smith then observed that from below the stomach, the woman gave way to the fish as the supposed mermaid slipped away. That's as far as reputable sources go. I feel like Captain John Smith has got to be up there, right?
No, I mean, he wrote an autobiography that's like absurd. That like has him like he was like a slave in the Ottoman Empire. He like was a pirate for a while.
He's Forrest Gump.
He was the Forrest Gump of the 1500s?
1600s. Probably
now,
both.
So here's my thing. You're talking about all these guys that are super horny, right? And that's how they see these things.
Picture yourself on a boat.
Okay.
A standard-sized boat.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
And you're around dudes for 6 months.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. What is a woman with a fish lower half doing for you?
Top. Get some aqua top.
Listen, like
some people prefer oral stimulation.
A lot of people already like claim, or like, you know, people already claim that a female's bottom can sometimes smell like a fish. So it's not a big difference.
We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. back to what Arian just said. Arian, you say that some people prefer oral stimulation.
I feel like you'd be put to death for that in the 1500s.
No, this Arian is, listen, he has been nothing but consistent on his take that he enjoys oral sex. You remember that?
Yeah, contrary to popular opinion.
That quote card?
This may be controversial.
Arian stood on the table and he said, I like receiving oral sex.
He also said that McDonald's fries are the best, contrary to what most people think.
Yeah. I like fries.
I didn't know where the people stood. You know what I mean?
That's like one of the most famous food items in the world. Maybe the number one.
So is oral sex.
Yeah. No, you take some controversial opinions.
Christopher Columbus, January 9th, 1493. He wrote
this is the funniest one
us.
to me, bro.
Yeah. Christopher Columbus saw not one, not two, but 3 mermaids near the Dominican Republic. He wasn't impressed. He described them as not half as beautiful as they are painted. So
no, that's real. That's real. So, shout out Chris C.
He got catfished by mermaids.
My theory there is that they were manatees. I think manatees, that makes the most sense for something you could think was a mermaid.
It's also very funny for him to see like 3 manatees and be like, these aren't even half as attractive as I thought that they'd be.
I would need like 3 bottles of rum before I fuck that thing.
That's what makes it so funny. No matter how you slice it. What the fuck was you looking at? And how did you get to that conclusion, though? That
Fellas, how many meads?
Imagine describing the animal that way.
Not even half as attractive as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, listen, I've dreamt my entire life of going to Australia and hang out with the koalas, and they're not even hot.
Yeah, and they have chlamydia.
Yeah,
which is
rampant.
True. Yeah, rampant chlamydia.
Yeah, don't ask me how I know that they have chlamydia, but I'm pretty sure all of them have chlamydia.
That's so funny, dog.
One thing koalas and Jeff Nadeau have not in common.
Oh, yeah.
Never mistake the two.
No. They actually, Jeff Nadeau would make a great koala. I feel like he's sort of koala shaped.
Yeah. Yeah, he gives koala.
Yeah, he gives off, like if he was in a Pixar movie with talking animals, he would be the koala character.
Mm-hmm. So, Columbus was not impressed with these mermaids that he saw. By the way, that sounds like somebody that's definitely seen mermaids before, right? Like if you see mermaids and you're like not that cool, like it can't be the first mermaid.
I think all of his like sailing friends had been telling him about mermaids. Like you're not going to believe it. Like there's these hot chicks that live in the sea, they're half fish, and then when he finally saw a manatee, he was like, they're not that hot.
Yeah,
right. He said not as beautiful as they're painted.
Yeah.
Okay,
so he'd heard these stories and seen pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And then he saw these uggos swimming around in the DR.
And I do think, like, yeah, if you saw a manatee up close, you could tell it's not a human. But if you saw a manatee under 10 feet of water, you could be like, that's just a really ugly mermaid.
Yeah. Yeah. He did say that he'd seen some at other times in Guinea. I think he's lying about that. Because all the other sailors were probably like, yo, that's your first mermaid? He's like, no. I saw a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And they were way hotter.
Yeah.
These manatees don't do it for me.
He's the contrarian in the group chat. He's like, nah, not cool at all, actually.
Yeah. So historians think that Hudson and Columbus just saw manatees, not mermaids, but historians don't know shit. Mm-hmm. They weren't there.
I've seen real mermaids, or as real as you can get. Wickiwalkie Springs in Florida. We were down there filming Rediscovering America, and we learned that they put on a mermaid show. It was actually very cool. So you go to this underwater viewing room, and then these ladies, you could throw in like a short clip. These ladies have these breathing tubes, and they're dressed like mermaids. They've got like a whole fin.
Yeah.
And they put on like a 20-minute show underwater, and anytime they needed air, they would just breathe through the tube. And they swim around, do like acrobatics and stuff.
That's pretty cool. So when you enter this underground room, it sounds like a peep show booth that you're walking into.
Yeah, I did expect them to start taking off their clothes, but no, it was very PG. KB actually fell in love with that one, but it's cool. I did read something that it's like horrible for their lungs just to be breathing out of that tube for that long.
Because of the air pressure or whatever?
Yeah, something about the air pressure. But this is like their full-time job, is just being a mermaid.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
There's a lot of people, like guys, a lot of them grow up and they're like, I want to be Superman. I want to be a superhero.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of girls out there are like, I want to be a mermaid when they're like 4 years old. They live their dream.
And yeah, these aren't the only mermaids. Like if you go on Instagram, you can find people, their whole account is just them cosplaying as a mermaid.
I'm sure those people definitely, there's a big subculture on the internet.
Yeah.
Just pretend I'm a mermaid.
It's kind of like, well, furries is more of like a sexual thing, right?
Big T's our furry expert. He booked a hotel with him one time.
This is not like a sexual thing. These girls.
That is the definition of fake news, what you just did.
True or false? You were staying in a hotel.
That's taking news and making it fake.
Big T stays in hotel while hosting furry convention.
The hotel that I stayed in, unbeknownst to me, was having a furry-like gathering. Yes.
Furry-like gathering.
Which, to schedule that for the weekend of Tennessee, Kentucky, and Knoxville is horrifying, and people should go to jail for that.
That would be funny if somebody just came and arrested them. You know, there's a big college football game this weekend. What the hell?
It's basketball.
Oh, what the hell do you think you're doing?
I also heard that podcaster Tim Dillon, his mom used to be a mermaid at like a resort or a restaurant where she would get like dolled up and dressed up like a mermaid and swim in the tank.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it was like a seafood restaurant or if it was a resort. Oh no, I think his mom was one of the
That'd be a pretty cool
Wiki-Waki Springs mermaids.
dining experience though. Like you're submerged underwater, you have tables above water and mermaids come and swim and bring your food. That'd be kind of lit.
That would be awesome.
Like medieval times? Yeah.
Now you're onto something.
That'd be kind of lit.
Imagine getting mad at the mermaid though, like she brings out the wrong dish or it's like slightly overcooked.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak to your manager. And this guy Poseidon comes out
With the Triton.
Yeah. So there's some other famous mermaid sightings. P.T. Barnum, he wouldn't lie about anything like this.
Oh yeah.
I believe his most famous quote was, "There's a sucker born every minute."
Yes.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah. As old Barnum from Barnum and Bailey.
Yep.
So in 1977, there was an article in Western States Folklore, which we need to get our hands on Western States Folklore. Excuse me. Mad Dog, can you look that up and see if we can find Western States Folklore?
He founded the Ringling Brothers.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
P.T. Barnum?
P.T. Barnum.
Yeah.
He also founded my college.
Did he really?
Yeah. Tufts University was founded by P.T. Barnum. That's why our mascot is the Jumbos. Because that was the elephant that they used in their circus.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. I only knew the Jumbos.
And Jumbo was killed by being hit by a train trying to save a baby elephant that was about to get run over.
Did he save it?
He saved the baby elephant, but he didn't save himself.
What a legend.
Yeah. And so then for a while on my college campus, they had a stuffed Jumbo, but then it burnt down. And so now we just have the ashes in a jar, like in one of the offices. And then they just built a metal elephant that is still on campus to this day.
How big is the jar?
The jar is like yay big.
Like
yay
2
wide.
feet tall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd have to be a pretty big jar.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I mean, Jumbo just shot up my power rankings for best animals of all time.
Yeah.
That's a good statue to have, an elephant on campus.
I think it's like one of the only college mascots that like has its own that you can look up in the dictionary maybe or something. I don't know.
Like an animal that existed.
Yeah. Like based on a real animal.
That's cool. I think Jumbo's top 5. Wojtek is still number 1. I don't think anybody will ever beat Wojtek, the bear.
Yes.
You know, are you familiar with Wojtek?
Yeah, we've talked about
We've
him.
talked about him, yeah. Great bear.
Yeah.
Carried artillery shells in World War II. Smoked cigarettes, drank vodka.
But
like 7 Wojtek statues.
P.T. Barnum, is that what that musical was based on?
The Greatest Show on Earth?
Yeah. The Greatest Showman was that I think that was the P.T. Barnum story.
I've never seen that. But
Okay.
it sounds like it should be. So in 1977, P.T. Barnum said that he purchased what was believed to have been the dried out corpse of a tiny mermaid in 1842. It was a Fiji mermaid, spelled Feejee, and it was allegedly caught in Japan, and it got revealed as the corpse of a monkey sewn together with that of a fish.
Still a cool thing to have, I would contend.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
How many people have that?
Where do you display your monkey sewn to a fish?
I don't know. Wherever you display a mermaid.
Like in your house, if you had that.
I wouldn't buy it, but I think it's an interesting conversation piece.
Above the fireplace.
Put it on your coffee table.
Coffee table. People thought that a platypus was a bunch of animals that were sewn together when they first found them, and they brought them back to, I don't know if it was England or where, but they brought them from Australia, and everyone was like, yeah, this is not a real animal. It's got a bill. It's got webbed toes. It's got a tail. It lays eggs. Give me a break.
Give me a break.
Yeah. I still don't fully understand platypuses.
Does spy missions.
Yeah.
Y'all wouldn't get that. You're too old. Don't worry about it.
They're also poisonous.
Yeah.
Whoa, what was that?
Don't
What
they
was-
have like a
what's this?
barb on their back or something?
I think it's on their back legs.
I wouldn't know the spy mission thing. What is that?
It's not for your generation. Don't worry about it.
Come on,
You
man.
can't be mean. Don't be mean.
The
You can
youngins
tell
will get it. The youngins will get it.
Is that a Pokemon reference?
No.
Fuck no.
You're gatekeeping platypus.
Phineas and Ferb. Perry the platypus.
Yep.
He's a secret agent.
That's
The
kinda
Fiji,
lit.
yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not,
he's a baller.
I'm not above, animals being anthropomorphized into agents, but
No, he's sick. He does cool shit.
So after they
we had
discovered
Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck was awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was the man. But after they discovered that it was a dead monkey sewn to a dead fish, Barnum went on to claim in his 1855 autobiography that, bogus or not, the Fiji mermaid is a most remarkable specimen of ingenuity and untiring patience. So he was like, it's regardless of whether or not it's fake, you have to admit that it's still very good.
Yeah,
Still
like
kind of cool.
you
dog.
have to respect that someone spent the time to attach a monkey body to like a fish and a reptile.
Yeah, you got to take your hat off to whoever did this. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a piece of art. In 2009, the Kiryat Yam municipality, it's near Haifa in Israel, they had dozens of mermaid sightings within the span of a few months in 2009. It caused a craze, and it escalated to the point that the town council was offering $1 million reward to anyone that could prove the existence of the mermaid living on its shores. So an NBC film crew went out there in 2010 to make a documentary about the phenomenon, because it had a show called Destination Truth, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. They thought for sure, okay, there's something that we're being lied to about something. We're going to go figure it out. And as part of the report, the show's film crew spent a whole week on the beach, and they filmed morning, night, underwater, above water. The crew claimed that during one of the late night outings, they spotted a human figure dipping in the water, and then it disappeared under the water. The show's researchers hurried. They dived after the figure. They couldn't trace it. Their official findings, along with the footage shot by several bystanders, were transferred to the Center for Coastal Ocean Research in L.A., and the center's director examined the evidence and said although it was impossible to unequivocally determine that the figure in the footage was indeed the natural phenomenon called mermaid, it still remained a viable option. Wow. So they could not prove that it wasn't a mermaid.
We're not ruling it out.
So
not a mermaid. We just don't know what it is.
Yeah, but my theory that I found in some off the rails blogs makes a lot of sense, where you're out at sea and you take hallucinogens and then you start to see all sorts of shit. Like if you're just sitting in your room, if you're sitting in a room and there's nothing on any of your walls, you just have a bare bed and you take hallucinogens, you're going to see some wild shit in there. Imagine being out on the ocean.
Yeah.
So when they were consuming these fish that were hallucinogenic, did they know that the fish were hallucinogenic?
There were some that I believe knew, yeah. But
I feel like after one, you'd get a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and then, but sometimes you'd eat it accidentally.
But when you're out at sea, like, those kinds of hallucinations can come naturally anyway. And so it's hard to like parse out reality and not. So you can kind of like phase in and out, or at the beginning stages versus the end stages, towards the apex of it. Like it's kind of hard to parse out reality, especially when you don't have the width of knowledge we have on the internet. They're selling like for the first time their people were treading these waters. So it's like anything is reality to them, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I think that if you catch one of these fish and then you eat it and then you hallucinate off of it, eventually you'll be able to trace back, oh, it's this fish that I ate. And then you probably use that to like haze all the rookie sailors out there. Like you're not officially one of us until you eat the trip fish and you have a good time out at sea. And then you kind of pass that along. But that to me, I feel like that's as good an explanation for mermaids as any. Or maybe they exist. I don't know. That NBC series did not disprove it.
Because, yeah, I think I remember hearing about hallucinatory fish when I was in Sicily, because they had like a myth of these witches that would come and like swoop down at night, and they figured out that like, oh, that village had just been eating a bunch of these fish, and that's like how the myth got started there.
Yeah,
I think so.
There's a bunch of cases of mass hysteria that might have been started by
everyone eating
tainted things.
Yeah,
whether or not it's a hallucinogenic fish or if it's something else, but everybody in the town eats something and then they just laugh for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've heard about the laughing epidemic. Also, the Salem witch trials they think was caused by ergot, which is like the type of fungus that LSD is derived from, but it grows on wheat that had gone bad.
Yeah.
And so they're like the wheat harvest in Salem had like started to grow a lot of ergot, which like caused a lot of the local girls going crazy. And then they were accused of being witches and accusing other people of being witches.
Wait, was it the girls that went crazy or was it the guys that were tripping and they're like, I think she's a witch?
I think like it was
maybe both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Need a scapegoat.
Yeah. Because like if you're tripping and then you see someone else like starting to act weird too, you're going to get super paranoid.
If you're a guy that's tripping in Salem, Massachusetts back in the day and a woman's tripping and she accuses you of being a demon, then you're like, she's a witch.
Yeah.
Because you're both tripping.
Yep.
Hey, Don, you want to hear a cold ass bar that has to do with witches?
Yes.
So I know you like rap, so it's directly tied to this. Lupe Fiasco said one of the coldest shits ever. He was battling Royce the 5'9", and he goes, he said, I ain't even trip calling me a bitch. I was like, look at Salem calling me a witch. That shit is hard.
So look at Salem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Salem witch trials? So
yeah.
So he's like, I ain't even trip.
Okay,
you calling me a bitch.
Yeah.
I was like, look at Salem calling me a witch. That shit is a cold ass bar, dog. Just reminded me of it.
Underrated artist, Lupe Fiasco.
So
for
you're
sure.
1,000% correct, dog. And I think he's underrated by all accounts. We talking about like by lyricists, by the pop culture aspect of it. In any aspect, he is a fantastic artist, dog. And you're right. Good take.
What was the song he had that was on? It was on like 2K.
There's a couple of them. He had bangers.
I didn't know that. He had
some good songs.
He had some beef with Royce the 5'9".
Well, yeah, they only had one diss track each.
Okay,
but it was an exercise of lyricism for sure. Because Royce, man, Royce is top tier.
Yeah,
and then Lupe went back at him. I think Lupe got the best of him, but it was just like if you're a fan of both, there's no loss there. It was a great battle.
Big T was a song called Superstar, and it was in Chell. It was NHL 2K.
No. It's Kick Push is the song I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Superstar was like a little too commercial for me.
It's poppy, but that's the thing though. So that's what I like about Lupe. Lupe, he has those hits. He does have like worldwide hits, but he
Battle
also
Scars,
can go into the trenches and rap with anybody. He can rap with anybody. Lupe fire. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
So LSD, hallucinogens. Donnie and I. We took LSD in Qatar.
I think it's past the statute of limitations. We can stop calling it cardboard now.
We can say that now. At the time when maybe Donnie was still overseas in Qatar, did not want to divulge any of that.
No.
It's my first time ever trying it. Donnie, you were a seasoned vet.
I tried it a few times. I don't think that probably wasn't the best place to try it for the first time.
No.
But it was more like we had done the Molly video in Hong Kong, so I was like, oh, in Qatar we should try something.
Yeah, a stadium of like 90,000 sober people.
Yes, yes.
Like sober strangers screaming at the top of their lungs. People dressed up like crusaders behind us.
Yep.
Yeah. How was the
drinking
trip?
Bud Light Zeros?
I didn't have it didn't increase my pleasure at that event. I'll put it that way.
We took we each took a little bit amount, which is like, it's enough to know like, oh, I'm on something, but it's not enough to fully trip. So you just kind of feel a little on edge.
Yeah.
Not a hero dose.
No, we weren't going to take a heroic dose in Qatar.
No, so it was not the best environment to do it, but it's a story.
But yeah, and USA got the draw as we predicted.
We were so excited about getting a 0-0 tie.
Yeah.
We should have won that game.
We should have. Pulisic hit the crossbar.
There was another shot that I want to say McKinney was really close. We could have scored twice. Anyway.
So LSD was discovered by Albert Hofmann, 1938, at the Sandoz laboratory in Switzerland. It was from a chemical found in the fungus called ergot. It was April 16th, 1943, and he became exposed to the substance by accident. He reported incredibly strong visual hallucinations and physical sensations. And out of curiosity, 3 days later, he dosed again. He was like, I kind of like that. So he dosed again. 3 days later, had his famous bicycle ride home, where he rode his bike home and he went to his living room and he just experienced a hell of a trip, wrote down all of his sensations, logged everything. And so April 19th, 1943 was the date of the first ever intentional LSD trip known to man. And it's celebrated as Bicycle Day. It's the day before 420. 419 is Bicycle Day. 420, people like to smoke a lot of weed.
Bicycle Day sounds awesome.
Yeah. So he figured it out by accident. Then he was like, you know what? I'm going to do this again. It was great. And then he spread it around since then. Okay, we've got Jake the Snake Plummer coming on. He's brought to you by Stella Blue at Stella Blue Coffee. We believe good coffee is one of life's non-negotiables. Stop drinking those boring, tasteless, big coffee beans. Turn to Stella Blue. Remember, your mornings are sacred. It's time to start treating them that way. I had some Stella Blue today. I had Electric Avenue. It's delicious. It gives me a nice caffeinated buzz. Wakes me up. Like I said, I've been dealing with Blake, dealing with late nights, early mornings with him whining. He's not able to exercise that much. Not getting as much sleep as I would like. But when I wake up in the morning, I have Stella Blue coffee, and it opens my eyes, and I'm ready to attack the day. The coffee is Big Cat tasted and approved, and they come from the most coffee-rich geographies on Earth. Stella Blue's coffee's delicious roasts are available in cold brew, K-Cups, ground, whole bean formats to seamlessly fit into your morning coffee routine, and every bag sold helps save dogs. Sorry, Arian. Go to StellaBlueCoffee.com. Use promo code MACRO, 20% off any order, $25 or more. Take back your morning with Stella Blue Coffee. All right, we welcome on great guest. You were on Part of My Take 2 years ago. We were out in Colorado at Myco Love Farms, and we had a great time visiting with you. Great dude. It's Jake Plummer. He's gotten really into post-NFL career, going with some I guess you're an evangelist for mushrooms, I would say. Like you're bringing mushrooms to the people. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, a mushroom man, a fungi is too much. Fungi is too much of a played out pun, but more just, like I'm a conduit for this ancient knowledge that they're showing me every day. And, the connectivity they've created and just letting people know about a food group. It's more or less a food group that we've forgotten. Now it's a huge entire kingdom, but I like to break it down to a food group, the ones that we can ingest and eat legally and that have a lot of benefits. So yeah, I'm a man of the mushrooms.
I love it. So how did you get into mushrooms at first? Wait, did you like mushrooms when you were a kid growing up?
No, my brother used to cook, like little button mushrooms, creminis, and he loved to cook them, saute them, and I just hated the smell. And I remember times like crying about it, just like sick. And he'd just and like be waft them in front of my face, But as I grew up, and eating mushrooms on different, foods, My knowledge of them was very small. I remember, seeing them out and about in nature in the backyard or out on a hike. But I've been aware of psilocybin mushrooms growing up in the Northwest, having some family and friends that would go out into Oregon and crawl around on the ground and pick the little mushrooms growing out of the cow shit. And so I was aware of it, but didn't do a whole lot with it growing up. Had a couple times experiencing a little bit of psilocybin up in the mountains, but never knowing and understanding the true sacred medicine that it is. And then getting into mushrooms in the last 4 years really has blown my mind to the magnitude of this expanse of free knowledge of healing and health and connectivity and communication and just the beauty of the mycelial network and everything, and how really important it is for people to know about it.
Yeah, so the mycelial network, I think I know what you're talking about, but I'd like you to expand on that a little bit, because I saw a documentary about mushrooms a couple years ago, and they talked about that, and they made the way they were explaining it was saying that mushrooms can act almost like the neural network of the earth. Like they communicate with each other underground. They say it's like nerve endings almost. But again, I'm kind of an outsider on all this, so I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, I mean it's I think you might have watched Fantastic Fungi, the documentary. Just a beautiful documentary that was one of my moments of watching that and going, oh wow, okay. This is amazing. Just to watch them time lapse grow the fruiting bodies. And I say fruiting bodies because that's what you think of when you see a mushroom. And an amanita is the most popular one, the red and white mushroom that red cap, white dots. It's poisonous, but there are people using it for some very good health benefits, actually, in micro doses, not eating the whole thing, but a little bit at a time. And so, yeah, the mycelial network is really, they call it the wood wide web. That's wood, WOOD. It's one of the most ancient communication systems ever that runs, below our feet in the soil, under the soil, down at different depths. I believe it goes all the way to the core. I think of the mycelium as the mother, as like it knows everything. It can fix your cut, can cook you spaghetti, it can pick you up from school, it can help you with algebra. It knows everything. Like the mycelium knows how a cottonwood tree grows. It knows how a strawberry tastes. It understands our urine. If you take a leak outside and it goes through the grass, man, mycelium is having a taste of our urine. It's like it knows everything. And so it's a single-celled hyphae. It's similar when you look at it as it branches out underneath the top soil and the ground, a lot like our own nervous system and our capillaries. And you dissect a lung and look at how our lung spreads out and how that all looks. It's replicated in nature over and over and over, even like a river and its tributaries when they branch out going into the ocean. And so they found that it communicates and it shares nutrients from tree that's doing well to tree that's struggling. It is actually that compassionate to know and to be able to share, and really a great representation of how we can help really solve a lot of the issues and just things we deal with here in the world if we just learn to connect and share a little bit like the mycelium. So I'm amazed by it every day. I'm trying to learn more and understand. We've just scratched the surface of what's out there. The numbers are out there of millions and millions of different mushroom organisms and species. They thought maybe 500,000, they're up close to 2, maybe 3 million or something like that. And I may be off on those numbers. It's what I've heard from some leading, people in the mycology world. We've discovered or identified maybe 150 to 200,000 of those. And then of those, we've figured out the medicinal value, or that they're poisonous, or that they can take you on a trip and have you have hallucinations and maybe meet up with your traumas and become friends and heal that way. Maybe 170 or so that we actually know. And so it's amazing. It's so fun. Like we're at the very, very tip of the iceberg here. And it's going to go from here. And to usher that in and be a voice for it, and not only a voice, but to be doing some great things in that category to help spread this word is really a true gift. It's like, why'd I play football? Man, I beat myself up. Oh, that's why I'm now here able to have people have me on their show so I can talk. People want to hear what I'm up to. People can remember my playing style and I remember him, and then they hear what I'm up to, and it's just who's out there listening. That's what I'm curious to find out. And if they're listening and want to feel better, then that's one way to channel it through that mycelial network, that connectivity.
It's very funny to imagine like going back in time and telling 8-year-old Jake Plummer, all right, here's what's going to happen, man. You're going to be an NFL quarterback. And you're like, oh, sweet. That's awesome. You're also going to become obsessed with mushrooms. Oh, what the fuck, man? Come on. I got just one quick follow-up on the mycelial network, and then I know these guys have a bunch of stuff they want to get into. But when you say that they can communicate underground, if there's a tree that's not doing so well, if it's not healthy, and there's a healthier tree that's next to it, a little bit of ways away, is there any like positive outcome for the fungi to transfer those nutrients? Like, what's the fungi getting out of it? Or as far as we know right now, is it just, it wants to see the plants grow and it's just being, like you said, compassionate?
Yeah. I mean, that's the question, right? We don't know. We can't quite communicate yet with them, but what I like to think, I mean, there are, hey, let's be real. There are some fungi out there, not because all mushrooms are fungi, but not all fungi are mushrooms. And I mean mushrooms as in the fruiting body that comes up out of the ground. So let's be real, there are some out there that are deadly, that can go in and kill trees and go in and pollute things and poison you and kill you. And so this is real, deep knowledge. You got to understand this. It's not like, hey, let's go forage and pick a mushroom and come cook it. That's dangerous. You got to know, you got to understand it. You got to take your time to learn, which organisms, which ones are edible, which ones are edible, but you shouldn't drink with wine. And like, it's very complicated and complex, yet it's fascinating and beautiful. And, a tree falls in the forest and lands, it's dead. It goes boom. The mycelium hears that. And then they go, and they start coming out underground to do what to that tree? To decompose it. So without mycelium, we would be under a pile of 50 to 100 foot of shit that just dies, that wouldn't go away. But thank you to the fungi for coming up and reabsorbing all of that back into the earth to then now become something new again. And it's a beautiful, show on regeneration and how Mother Nature knows what they're doing. Mother knows what the hell's up. She's got it down. No questions. Mother Nature is going to just do fine with us as we continue to do the things we do to her. She's gonna be fine. She's gonna, flourish at some point again, where we're gonna be gone. And that's just, I think mushrooms and fungi and all that have been around a long, long time. And I'm not talking woo-woo and too spiritual for anybody out there, I hope, but it's just understanding plants and how they communicate, understanding even the science behind how you speak to people and how you a study done where they spoke to plants in a negative way and they were mean and they talked shit about it. And then the other room got spoken to in kind words with compassion and how beautiful you are. And the difference that those two plants had was profound. And the one flourished that was told, nice things and loved, really loved. And that's it. So it's a beautiful world to dive into. And 8-year-old Jake, if I could go back and tell him, it would have been like, yo, start reading some books on mushrooms and studying that and going into biology and chemistry and understand flavonoids and polysaccharides and alkaloids and all this stuff that is now just coming into my wheelhouse. Like, whoa, I was just eating the food they told me. Okay, training table. All right, Friday night, we're done with practice. They were feeding us Popeyes in Denver, Arian. I mean, like, we didn't know this stuff back in the day, but if we had, how much better could we have functioned? How much better could we have come out of the game less beat down, less depleted, less like, run down from the things we put our bodies through to be at the very, very, very best peak, one of the tiniest percentages in the world, what we were as NFL athletes.
That's actually what I want to talk to you about, man, because I'm listening to you talk, and it's very it's inspiring knowing how much of my peers, as you go through that experience of the NFL, so many of our peers kind of fall victim to either past, whereas they don't fall in love with anything. And listening to you talk is just good to hear people that are inspired and that have been through what we've been through, because a lot of people don't really understand the transition stage and how hard that is to like kind of mourn your own death, and to mourn like your own death of a dream you had as a child, right? That's they don't really talk to you about that. They always talk to you about having an identity outside, but they don't really, until it hits you, don't really understand. So hearing you talk is very it's good to hear, because I've seen a lot of guys go through deep depression, alcoholism, drugs, a lot of different vices, and to ironically enough, the shit that you're really into now, I think just luckily I had got into when I was a kid, nowhere near as deep as the scientific side as you are, but just a quick story. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and there's not a lot to do out there, right? And so we did drugs a lot. Like that city is like it was, and it's the cross between I-40 and I-25, which is a major drug trafficking spot. So a lot of drugs infiltrated that city. And so growing up, it was just normal around me. People were smoking weed, people was doing coke, ecstasy, all that stuff. And I stayed away from the harder drugs, but mushrooms, I was doing like at 13 years old. And I was just doing it to get high, right? But I had no idea what it actually did to me. And I always tell people this, like, if you want to do mushrooms, like, it's not like a party drug. You don't take them to go have fun necessarily. You can, but it's a very like existential experience that I didn't know that I was capable of having at that young age. And I always challenge people like, yo, go find me a closed-minded person who has taken mushrooms. It's just going to be hard to do it, because I always tell people what it does is it takes you from existing in the world to feeling like you're existing with the world. And that's a very hard thing to describe with words. And so I say all that to say, like, what has been your experience as far as like post-career, and how much do you attribute that to I guess the mental clarity and the mental and emotional success of yourself? How much do you attribute that to your experience with mushrooms?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Thank you for, for the kind words. And then obviously yourself, like that taking those at a young age, they did something to your brain chemistry to allow you to be where you're at right now, which to me feels like you're at peace with everything you did. And even from your career and watching you were like, yeah, football's great, but it isn't all me. I'm not just that running back, and I'm not just this football guy. I'm not just that. And that's the hard thing a lot of guys do deal with leaving the game, is like that identity that they're still not getting all that attention week to week, or still not quite in it, or they feel like they're forgotten. And not a lot of teams do a great job of keeping guys around. We're lucky here in Denver, like the Broncos do a lot of alumni events to get guys back. But even some guys like, yeah, man, I don't go to that stuff. I'm like, why not? I'm like, come out to see us. We want to see you. I want to see you. I want to look in your eyes. I want to hug you and feel if you got any vitality. I want to see how you walk in the room. If you're limping real bad, or if you're bitching about things nonstop, like there's something off. And let's be real. We put our bodies through the beatings. We put our brains through trauma that most humans don't have to go through. And if you don't approach your post-career, with the right, frame of mind and the right plan, and sometimes it isn't the plan they have for you with the NFL and all the assistance they have, I'm thankful for. Thank you. But I don't need $25,000 to spend on prescription drugs. I don't take any. I don't want to. So how are they helping me? They're not. But I'm helping them because I'm representing what a post-career they want to have people see. Hey, look at this guy. Look, he's fine. For every one of me, there's 20 guys that are already on TMP, total and permanent disability, that are in their 40s. That's for the rest of your life. For what? For the money? Holy shit. Like, this ain't right. Like, we are at the peak and we're pushed to be the best. Then when you get out, you're almost required to embody helplessness and hopelessness, and oh, I'm beat down, and oh, I need help, and I can't do this. Well, how do I go to the PT? Like, wait a sec, you were here, and now you're way down here. Like, how can we flip that? What can we do? And it's becoming, it's mushrooms have been a huge part of my life for the last 4 years, but prior to that, I went through a lot of really tough times in post-career and figuring out what I was supposed to be doing and what I need to do next. And I also I used cannabis towards the tail end of my career for relaxation and the pain, being able to sleep and actually get my rest. And then post-career, and then I was lucky enough to get involved with Charlotte's Web that was doing hemp oils and extracting, cannabinoids and all of that. And that was very unknown by a lot of people. Yet these little kids were benefiting from taking it that were having severe seizure disorders. So we used our notoriety and our platforms to speak for these mothers that were having to risk prosecution to give their child something that was helping them not have seizures. And so that really got me into like, wait, now nature, I've always been guided that way by my mother. I knew to eat well. She fed us really well. We would take garlic and honey for our colds. She'd put a comfrey poultice on our sprained ankles or sprained wrists. She fed us well. We took echinacea if we had the sniffles. I mean, she was holistic herself along with her mom. And so I've been on this path and going into the next phase of not just these mushrooms that are a food group, a nutrition, through our company Umbo that we're providing in different ways. There's the confusion now with psychedelics, kind of like with hemp and marijuana. There was big confusion. Same thing with functional mushrooms and psychedelics. I've had some amazing journeys on psychedelics. Do I take them all the time? No, I don't need them. I've been opened up to become one with the universe and to be one with the people around me and feel connected. I don't need it. Do I still struggle? Yeah, I got days where it's tough. I got areas of my body that are just painful. And how painful? I don't know. I don't know if half the US could get out of bed with what I'm feeling every day in my neck, but I know I can get up because what do we do all our lives, Arian? We got up, right? Get hit, you get back up. We don't let pain stop us. So it's been a journey and it's not over yet. It's just beginning. And, mushrooms they're being researched at major universities for all sorts of things. I'm talking psychedelics now, like even at unlimitedsciences.org, our nonprofit that's doing responsible research on all psychedelics, including, ayahuasca, ibogaine, peyote. I mean, all of them. Peyote's the Native Americans. That's their medicine. I don't like promoting that at all. Even ayahuasca, that's a different medicine from another country, but we all have on every continent your own form of that in a plant. And that's the crazy thing. Like here's nature again, Mother Nature providing for us everything we need. And I believe in psychedelics, but I also believe it's very important to have a community around you, to have a plan for integration and understand that these stories you're seeing online, if it's changed my life and everything's great, it might not be that for you. It might open up a whole can of stuff you got to deal with. And that's the thing that's hard. You want that panacea, you want that pill that can take it all away. But man, when it comes down to it, we all want to take the medicine, but none of us want to go do the dishes, but you got to go do the dishes. That's just what you got to do.
So I was well aware that they've been doing research on psychedelic shrooms that can help treat depression, addiction. If you have terminal cancer, it can help you confront death. But I only recently learned that there's been a bunch of universities doing research on how psychedelics can help with chronic pain. And I guess right now they've only been doing the research on rats, I believe, but they think it works by sometimes if you've had chronic pain for so long, you have a neural pathway that even when the cause of the pain starts to go away, that neural pathway is just so ingrained in your brain that you're still feeling that pain. Yeah. And they think that the use of psychedelics can kind of help reroute some of those pathways. So you stop the pain becomes not as intense.
Yeah. I mean, you're saying that along with more stuff we don't even know yet. That's the beauty of what we're stepping into is there's all sorts of things that we deal with in society, in our cultures, and in the world of disease. A lot of it caused by ourselves, and stress ain't going away. Reishi mushroom can help your nervous system, come to a more calm place. It's like a warm blanket for your nervous system, but it ain't going to take away your stress. Stress is here to stay. It's how your body reacts to it, how you yourself react to it. And, there's a lot of great findings coming out of the research institutes with the use of psilocybin in a responsible way and in its sacred ceremonial way to help us with a lot of ailments and disease. And, we're talking one that's still illegal at a federal level. It's decriminalized here in Colorado, but it's still illegal. What I'm dealing with and really diving into is functional mushrooms that are not illegal. They're on the store shelves. They're in your coffees. They're all around. And, my dive into this is, again, sort of like Charlotte's Web being one of the top brands still to this day, one of the best, if not the best hemp oil on the market. I didn't want to start a company without being the same thing in this category, which is, again, unregulated. People can make things and say, oh, here's a mushroom drink. We put mushrooms in it. Well, how much? We don't know. What did you put? Mycelium or fruiting body? Or, in these drinks that we make, we put 600 plus milligrams of 3 different mushrooms in there. So you're going to get a helping of these mushrooms. You're going to get the goodness from them and understand if they help you or not. And, it's a lot of fun when you get people to have more energy, better focus, not have to rely upon pharmaceuticals to stay up all day or not to go to bed at night. You're helping people heal. We're helping the planet get better. And, it's a fun thing to be involved with.
2 of the functional mushrooms I've seen the most these days are lion's mane and chaga. How do you think those 2 types of mushrooms can help people?
Yeah, I mean, lion's mane is very popular. It's high in the nerve growth factor, neuronal growth and repair, not just in our brains, in our whole bodies, the neurons that go through our bodies. But lion's mane, there's more than just one lion's mane. There's like, we Michael Love Farm have like about 12 to 13 different varieties we're looking at that may have all different compounds in them doing different things. So yes, lion's mane is really good for focus, for clarity. It's an amazing addition to my nighttime routine. I take our replenishing sleep capsules that are non-drowsy, and it has lion's mane, reishi, and L-theanine. And I tell you, man, I go to sleep and my dreams are amazing. Like, they are fun. I see people in them. I'm doing stuff that feels so real, and it's in color. And I ask a lot of people, I don't dream and I really don't sleep that well, but that's really the time we got to recover. So chaga, another one, is very good. The king mushroom, it's one of the most powerful antioxidants on the planet, yet it's a parasitic fungus. It's not a mushroom. It's just a fungus that kills birch trees. So it invades the birch tree and then it grows, and that tree's dead now. So chaga, I believe, is for people that are really sick, unless you find a sustainable source. Our chaga that we put in our drinks, in our charged tincture, it comes from a sustainable farm that they're planting birch trees. They're doing this, trying to do this the right way. Because, human nature is to go and get it all, take it all, but let's make sure it's there for everybody. And sometimes the real powerful mushrooms should be really used for people that need it the most. But yeah, those are 2 very popular ones. Reishi is my favorite. It's a beautiful mushroom. It's not edible. You wouldn't want to eat it, but it's called the queen, and it's the mushroom of immortality. And it does a lot for, calming down your nervous system. Like I said, it's got a ton of benefits, and we're finding out more and more of what they're good for as more research is being done.
Do you think that the HBO series The Last of Us did harm intentionally to the mushroom community by making people afraid of cordyceps?
Yeah, maybe, I mean, that's something that we laughed about, because we're like, wait, those mushrooms were turning people into crazy zombies that could run real fast and everything. And it's like, you look around in the world and most people are zombies. They're pointing down at their phones and you walk right by them and they don't even know. And it's like, take these cordyceps. We'll take you from the zombie state into a more awake state. But cordyceps is amazing mushroom for athletes, for people wanting to have endurance and fight fatigue. Yeah, cordyceps is unreal. It's, the caterpillar fungus. It grows in the Himalayan mountains on a caterpillar, a parasitic fungus. And that's called the Himalayan Viagra. It moves blood through your system. It oxygenates your blood, initiates the ATP reaction when you go to move and run. It's already there happening. So a lot of athletes are finding the benefits of that. Yeah, we grow ours vegan. It's not the Himalayan Viagra. It's just grown on a substrate here out in Fort Lupton. So, but yeah, cordyceps is a great one. Another one to investigate. Turkey tail for your gut health, for your overall immunity, for the fact that in Japan they prescribe turkey tail for breast cancer patients. Like this has been used for a lot of serious ailments. I can't claim that it helps with any of them, but there's proof and there's anecdotal data out there that shows that it's helped with a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Very cool. Big T, you got anything?
Yeah, so I don't know if you know this. Also on this episode, we talked about mermaids, and we kind of combined mermaids with psychedelic, effects. I'm just curious. You said you'd done psychedelic mushrooms, obviously. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you or that you've seen while on one of those substances?
Now you're getting too personal there, man.
You don't want to know.
That you want to share.
There's been a lot of things. I think that the most amazing thing, one of the funnest things that's ever happened was at my friend, who I'm in business with Umbo Del Jolly, at his place on an afternoon. I was out kind of struggling outside. I like to go outside. I like to be out in nature where you can hear the birds and feel the wind and feel the grass and smell things, because it heightens everything in my awareness. My vision is more acute, my hearing and my tastes and everything feels different, when you're in that medicine. And I remember his dog Bluto came running up to me, and I was in a moment of struggle, like you go through waves. It's not all just, I'm talking to frogs and they're funny. It's, you have realizations come that set in and they're lessons, that they're teaching you and you're receiving. But Bluto came and we had a great afternoon. I was in a communicative state with this dog where we were obviously not talking, but we were communicating through our eyes and movement and like laughing together and having a great time. So that was one of them. Otherwise, just the way things move and like the way grass looks and trees and like it just it changes things. It changes your perspective and it shifts the view. I like to say it's conscious reset. Definitely creates that feeling of oneness again, which isolation is the worst thing in the world. Isolation is some of the worst things you can do for your overall health, is to live by yourself and be isolated from all the beauty out there. And, that definitely has opened me back up to that.
Very cool. Arian, you got anything else for him?
Nah, I just appreciate it, man. You reminded me. I bought some psychedelic mushrooms a while back, and they've been in my cabinet. I forgot about them shit. Yeah, I'm about to go pop some, dog.
Yeah, like you mentioned it. It's not, it's party drug aspect, and even where cannabis has gone, it's just gone down this road of like, use it all the time, take it everywhere you go, and it's like, at some point you got to understand that the beauty that's out there is far better sometimes when you're stone cold sober and able to be present with everything that's going on, because there's so much happening. And when you're getting narrowed down to just wanting to only get high and always partying, like, that's okay, but I'm not promoting that as a way with those mushrooms. Setting and intention and knowing that anything may show up. That's the thing with these. And follow them up with some functional mushrooms, y'all, because those are really good for our health, for our wellness. Take your health in your own hands and check out getumbo.com.
Very cool.
So what's your favorite type of mushroom to eat? Or do you because I know as a kid you didn't like the smell. I assume you eat a lot of mushrooms now?
Yeah, I love cooking lion's mane. It's very interesting. Definitely for a meat alternative, or almost kind of like a lobster type texture. And you can do a lot of fun stuff with that. Oysters are always so yummy. You can do a lot of fun stuff. I like basic shiitake, man. It's like the shiitakes are so flavorful. I
love shiitake, bro. I love shiitake.
Yeah, man, the taste, it never fails, a shiitake. But when you get out and you start, dabbling in these, and even if you get out into nature and you find them when they're growing out in the woods, morels are really tasty. You're tasting things that your body has never tasted, but also that are bringing different nutrients to you also. Same with herbs and plants and all that. I mean, they just have so much to offer. But yeah, I cook a lot with them now. I definitely love them. Eat our Umbo bars pretty much every day. They're a great addition to the day with a lot of mushrooms in them to help you. And yeah, man, it's been a journey, and I really just appreciate being able to come share with you guys, man. It's really awesome to be able to open up and give you a little bit of what I've learned and answer some questions.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man. And if you wanna find out more, he mentioned Unlimited Sciences. They're doing studies, responsible studies on the benefits of psychedelic mushrooms. And then there's Lily's Lighthouse, which is doing. I don't know if you're doing research or if you're promoting the medicinal aspect of certain mushrooms when it comes to helping kids and just people with epilepsy in general.
Yeah, there's some people doing work with functional mushrooms that are benefiting, that are suffering from seizures. So it's all about getting the knowledge out there, letting people know. A lot of people reach the end of their rope and then they find this, or maybe they don't. We're hoping that we can help people find this before the end of their rope, before it gets so hopeless and helpless. Like there's a pathway to health. And I think sometimes mushrooms can be a great initiator there and a great help. The Lily's Lighthouse is great. Unlimited Sciences, my farm, Michael Love Farm, and then Umbo. That's where I'm really focused on, is getting it out to people doing good things.
Cool. Yeah, when we visited you sent us home with I think I had a reishi tincture. Yeah. Maybe there might have been some lion's mane in there, but I enjoyed the tincture. It was good. If you want to get your own, you can go to getumbo.com. And are you doing a promo code? Is there a macrodosing promo code?
Macro 15.
Okay, there we go.
RO 15 for anyone out there interested. Go ahead and use that for 15% off. And just know you got to buy it. You can't buy the packaged ones that are already discounted. You got to just get individual products. But go ahead and check them out, man. Our bars are in REI. They're doing real well, and it's a slow grind, but it's something that keeps me going every day, and it's fun to spread the knowledge, man. Spread the word.
Very cool. I have one last question while you're here. I don't want to waste this opportunity because I've had tendinitis in my knees my entire life, basically since I was like 18, and it went away for a while, and it came back bad like 3 weeks ago. And I know what I'm in for. Like, it's a painful experience. It sucks walking up and down steps, but it's almost like a chronic ache all the time. I know that you've done some research. You know about certain types of functional mushrooms that can reduce. I don't know if there's anti-inflammatory mushrooms or what the case may be. I don't want to be taking high doses of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, whatever it is, NAISD or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to be taking those every day, all the time. Is there anything that has anti-inflammatory properties that I can look into?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say any of the mushrooms, most of them have high levels of anti-inflammatory properties. Starting with lion's mane is a great one to start with. Reishi, those two I think are great. And I like taking the 4 set of cordyceps in the morning. I mean, I take them all: cordyceps, lion's mane, reishi, and turkey tail in the morning. Our charge and recharge tinctures are a blend of 3 mushrooms together in each bottle. So that's a good way to get a good healthy dose of some mushrooms. But no, it's consistency over time equals results. It's just like eating your broccoli. You don't eat that one time and go have a personal best on the bench press, but you got to eat it. It's good for you. So continue to do that. And then also check out, we're doing some studies here with former NFL guys locally using functional mushrooms and peptides and trying to get some data back to see if that can help with the cognitive decline, maybe reverse that or slow it down. And then also with physical dysfunction that comes down to, some of the peptides we're using have shown promise with tendons and ligament health and, joint health. So there's stuff out there. If you're not curious, you don't know. If you just ask your doctor, you might not find out. But if you're curious and you want to know, there's stuff out there. And I feel like that's my calling, is to bring that out to the people in a concise way and also live it, be involved with it. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm sorry to hear you got that tendinitis, but introduce them into your system. And I know they won't hurt you. And they damn well might help you.
All right. I'll give it a shot. Well, thanks, Jake. The snake, an absolute legend.
Thanks, Jake.
I got your info, man. I'm going to hit you up, man. We'll chop a little more, brother.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Great to meet you, Arian, and all you guys. Thanks for having me on the show. You guys are doing the good work, man. Keep it up.
All right. Appreciate you, Jake. Have a good one.
Peace, love, and mushrooms.
Yes. The fungus is among us. It's like a lot of people wouldn't think that an NFL quarterback would get obsessed with shrooms, but the person who brought magic mushrooms to the U.S. and made them popular, he was a VP at J.P. Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
So sometimes you'll find a mycologist in the place you'll least expect it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up. His name was R. Gordon Wasson.
Yeah.
He was a banker. He was VP of Public Relations.
And then just a part-time shroom scientist.
Yeah. So he wrote a lot of books about it, published articles in Time Magazine talking about mushrooms. At one point, he invited the guy that discovered LSD to go to Mexico to hunt for sage together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like him and a friend went down to Mexico because they heard rumors of this sacred mushroom cult. And the lady at first was like, I don't really want to let you guys in on this, but like he was persistent. And so then he got to participate in their shroom ritual where they all ate psychedelics. And he was like, this was the coolest experience of my life. I got to like find out how to like bring these shrooms back to the US. And then I think he realized that you can just find those mushrooms like naturally growing in the US.
Yeah. So do you think he was good at his job?
Yeah, I think. Oh, you think good at his
like
finance job?
JP Morgan, yeah.
I mean, he was a VP. Like,
yeah.
But I
they don't
do
just
think
hand those out.
It ended up.
JP Morgan probably has like 800 VPs.
But yeah, that's true. But I do think some people disparage him because when he wrote the article about this mushroom cult down in Mexico, it inspired tons of hippies to go and visit the cult too, and like that like village in Mexico got completely overwhelmed by American hippies, and like the lady who showed him it ended up really regretting it because then like
they blew the spot up.
Yeah,
that's too bad. Ruined it for the rest of us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good hallucinogenic stories out there. My favorite, I think, is Doc Ellis, the pitcher for the Pirates.
Yeah.
Oh, by far probably the best. Yeah, I would say that. This is an amazing story.
I might say that this is the top sports accomplishment of all time.
It's up there, bro.
Yeah. And I also believe him too, just because times I've taken acid and like sometimes I'll be tossing the football around or something, I still feel pretty athletic. Like I feel like it doesn't impair my reaction speed and stuff, where I think on shrooms I'm usually like very sloppy and stuff, and like, but like on acid I feel like sometimes it like sharpens my coordination.
Don't take acid and drive though.
No.
But yeah, Doc Ellis. So Big T, have you ever heard about this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
High as a Georgia pine.
That's what he says. Yeah. He took acid in the San Diego International Airport terminal. And he timed it. He was a pitcher for the Pirates. He timed his dosage so that when his flight to LAX was landing, he would start to trip. So that was Wednesday, June 10th, 1970. He was the Pirates' ace. He was on the West Coast for a series against the Padres. And he decided to hop a flight to LAX for a quick visit with a friend 2 days before he was scheduled to pitch. So, yep.
Just a quick note. I think stats in professional sports start counting after you just couldn't do shit like that anymore. Like when you couldn't just be like, hey, I'm pitching on Friday. I'm going to go to LA for 2 days real quick, and then I'll be back. Yeah. Once teams were like, actually, no, you can't do that, that's when stats count.
When sports became less fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and became like dead serious all the time. Yeah.
Well, then when you weren't a milkman in the off season.
Right.
Yeah. So he woke up in Los Angeles on Friday, June 12th. He was feeling the effects of the previous night's festivities wearing off, so he took another tab of acid. He was hanging out with a honey, so the woman he was staying with came into the room and said, "You need to get to San Diego now. You're pitching tonight." And Doc said, "No, I'm pitching Friday night. It's Thursday." Then he saw the date on the paper, and it was Friday. He lost an entire day. So he took it the morning of the start. The girl he was with got him dressed.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, she's actually
you can party with her and she'll keep you in check. That's a winner.
Like without her, this story never happens.
That's
Doc
facts.
Ellis might get cut by the Pittsburgh Pirates because he misses a start because he's tripping in Los Angeles. So she took him to LAX. She was tripping at the time too, and she drove him to LAX. During the game, the Pirates catcher Jerry May wrapped his fingers in reflective white tape. Doc focused on the bright white pattern so he'd know what to throw and where to throw it. He was very wild. He did not throw a perfect game by any circumstance. He walked 8 batters
and hit one.
And
nobody knew he threw a no-hitter after the game because they had base runners every inning.
Yeah, he walked 8 batters. He struck out 6, but he did not allow a hit, didn't allow a run, hit a guy, and then and they let him in. He was just tripping balls on the mound, and he threw a fucking no-hitter. So they made an animated recap you can find on YouTube.
It's great.
From the media company Nomos, and they did an interview with him, and I think 6 million people watched it. So they also made a feature-length documentary about it. But that's got to be the craziest start of all time in baseball.
Yeah,
easily.
I think
Easily.
One of the craziest.
It's dope hearing.
stories.
I don't know if it's him. Was it him? I think him. Yeah, I think he was telling that story, and there was like this like black and white animation over it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really dopely done.
Yeah. I don't think there are a lot of like psychedelic professional sports stories. So like that could be.
Maybe Bill Walton has a couple.
But do you think he got into psychedelics after his career?
I think he was in. Yeah, he was in from the get go. He was like a deadhead. He would follow the dead around on tour.
Yes.
I bet you Bill Walton has a stat line that somewhere out there that's comparable. That's the mission, is find out like which one of Bill Walton's like 25, 20 games was he tripping the hardest on, and just see if it made him a better rebounder. I also think that Bill Walton has commentated probably several games.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Or tripping. I'm gonna miss.
And his voice gives me like butterflies, like Saturday morning cartoons. PFT may feel me on this one. It's like, you know how like that that melody, Bill Walton's voice just gives me like that Saturday morning vibe. Chicago Bulls versus Orlando Magic. You know what I'm saying?
Round Ball Rock.
It takes me back, man. It takes me back, man. Takes me back.
NBC just got the NBA back, so they'll presumably Fox has that song now though, and they use it for college basketball. Surely NBC will get that back.
I think that they are.
I
think they are getting it back. Yeah. So other fun LSD facts and hallucinogenic facts. The Unabomber, he was, I don't want to say a user of hallucinogens, but he was forced to use hallucinogens. And we talked about this a little bit years ago in the MK Ultra episode. But MK Ultra was when the CIA would essentially kidnap people, dose them with drugs, sometimes their own agents, sometimes people that they would just find out at bars. I think Coley's dad, or was it Coley's dad?
Yeah, it was dad.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
They dosed him out at like a pinball lounge or arcade or whatever. So Ted Kaczynski was a subject in the MK Ultra experiment. What the CIA was trying to do was mind control. They were trying to figure out if there's any drugs out there that you can feed to somebody that you've captured or arrested and make them tell the truth, or just get them to do whatever you want them to do. If that's like go assassinate the Pope.
Yeah.
If I give you a bunch of drugs and then I tell you to do something, are you going to do it? So Ted Kaczynski was one of the subjects, and he was the Unabomber. This was before he was the Unabomber, though. He was at Harvard. He was 16 years old on a scholarship. He skipped 6th and 11th grade. And a 16-year-old at Harvard, he was one of the smartest kids in the class. And the Harvard psychologist Henry Murray was working with the CIA. So this is all true. The CIA was in partnership with a lot of college scientists, college professors. Henry Murray was one of them. And even though Kaczynski graduated with a math degree and a doctorate, and then he was a professor, he was also affected by the experiment, which reportedly involved mock interrogations where their beliefs were harshly disparaged. So what they would do, they would take you into a room and then give you a dose of acid and then berate you and say like try to cause as much trauma to you as possible, just like scream at you for a while. So they did this to Kaczynski, who then after college, he had a promising career ahead of him in mathematics. He ended up going off the deep end, became an eco-terrorist, and became the Unabomber.
Yep, moved to like a cabin in the middle of the woods in Montana or something.
Yep. So the MK Ultra experiment, go back and listen to that episode because I think that was a pretty good one. It began in 1950, lasted until 1972. And at the CIA, they would spike each other's drinks to test the outcome on their own agents. So if you went to one of those parties, it was like you're playing Russian roulette, but with acid. Like somebody's getting dosed tonight. I hope it's not me.
Yeah, that is no longer funny at parties today.
No, you can't do that.
Nope. Because I remember like Ari Shaffir dosed Bert Kreischer with Molly, I think, and like he was laughing about it on the pod, and then the reaction to that podcast was like, Ari Shaffir's the devil. Like, how could you do that to a friend?
Yeah. I don't know if you'd be able to tell the difference between Bert not on ecstasy and Bert on ecstasy, though.
Yeah, but I guess like Bert was like on his way home to like put his kids to bed.
Yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah.
That could definitely be an issue.
Yeah, don't dose your friends. It's not cool. Although, I mean, it would be tempting to dose Big T because I know he'll never do it on his own.
Correct. That is tempting, actually.
Yeah.
Big T, what are you drinking?
What do you think you're drinking?
I had a water.
Okay. I'm just going to make a mental note of what you like to drink during episodes.
A little fun fact or a little life hack for the listeners out there. If you're ever hopping on a flight and want to bring some magic mushrooms, I call this the trail mix method. You buy a bag of trail mix, crumple up all the shrooms, and then just mix it in with the trail mix, and you can bring it on a flight, no problems.
That's smart. But don't.
Or you could obey the law and not do that.
Listen, I'm not trying to like fly to wherever I'm going and then break the law again, trying to buy magic mushrooms.
That's a good point.
I'm trying to
break the law once
only
than
break
twice.
the law once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're breaking it twice by buying them wherever you buy them in the first place and then taking them onto a plane.
Touché.
You would be cutting your law breaking in half by doing it when you got there.
Double jeopardy, though. It's the same law.
Right.
Yeah.
It's on
and
company
also,
property with company property.
At least I know what I'm bringing on the plane. If I have to try to buy drugs in a strange city, I could
could
buy
be
something tainted.
Could be crazy.
Just don't take too much and sit in an exit row and then disrupt the entire flight.
No, I don't take these mushrooms on the flight. Like I'm just.
Oh, they're just in the trail mix.
No, they're in. It's just a way I bring them to the place where I'm going. So then, if I want to do them where I'm going.
Okay.
Well, so then it becomes it's just trail mix. Then you're eating trail mix, and that becomes how you consume it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you want, you can like pick out
pretzels.
the pieces, but you can also just eat it like trail mix. No, I do not do shrooms on flights, and I wouldn't recommend doing shrooms.
Oh,
on
I
flights.
thought that was the whole point.
No.
So the point is just that you get them from your honest drug dealer instead of whatever sketchy character is where you're going.
Yes. Yeah.
Got it.
It's just
Build a rapport.
It's
Some
just a
people have
way
really
so
good
you don't have to
relationships.
like bring just like shrooms on a flight because I think that is frowned upon. If you just
It makes sense. It makes sense to me, at least.
Yeah.
If you're a shroomy, I guess.
Shroomy?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to dose you Big T at some point in the next year. There will be a Big T.
It'll be the last thing you do, I promise.
Big T trivia episode.
I think with like shrooms, it would be hard to dose them unless it was made into a chocolate bar. Then you could probably convince Big T to have some chocolate.
100,000 subscribers, and we'll dose Big T.
No.
Big trip. Psychedelics have helped people quit smoking cigarettes. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm.
University of Cincinnati, they looked at the post-treatment journals kept by participants in a 2014 smoking cessation study. It found psychedelics were effective in helping some people quit smoking for years. They analyzed the participants' own words. They found that psychedelics combined with talk therapy often helped longtime smokers see themselves as non-smokers. The new core identity explains why 80% of participants were able to stop smoking for 6 months and 60% remained smoking-free after 5 years. It's a pretty good rate. It's a very good rate. And Johns Hopkins University did a study in 2014. They found that participants who wanted to quit smoking and use psilocybin combined with cognitive behavioral therapy were far more likely to succeed than those who try other traditional quit smoking methods. So it can work. What about ketamine therapy? I've heard people talk about ketamine therapy recently.
It's become really popular because I think it's legal now. Because I'll see ads on my Instagram feed for that.
Yeah, it is. I think in certain dosages, it's legal. I know it helps with like PTSD.
MDMA is supposed to help with PTSD.
Yeah.
Ketamine, probably PTSD as well, and then just depression.
Yeah.
Is that what? So I know the guy from Friends who
Matthew
passed
Perry?
out in the hot tub, like he was on ketamine, had he been doing ketamine therapy and then just like one day ended up taking too much ketamine?
I don't know, but I think that with ketamine, there's like an initial wave when it hits you that can it doesn't paralyze you, but it can make it like harder. You're very involved in the experience that you're having.
Yes.
So you don't really move that much.
Oh, so he OD'd on something? It wasn't natural?
Yeah, he took too much ketamine and then drowned in his hot tub.
Jesus Christ. I didn't know
And
that.
as someone who tried ketamine once, I can confirm if you do too much, you can't move. It's terrifying.
They call it the K-hole.
Yeah.
You get stuck in it.
Not a fan, but I guess in small doses it can help.
Yeah, so I've got this book here. It's called The Psychedelic Experience, and it's written by Timothy Leary. He's the guy that was like the biggest evangelist for acid.
A lot of people don't love him because he was almost too gung-ho about it. He was like, psychedelics will cure all of the world's problems, and was handing it out to all the students at Harvard and stuff. And I think he led to it being banned because there was a lot of like psychedelic research being done, and then Timothy Leary just scared the shit out of like who was the president then? Nixon? I don't know, but he was like, this dude is getting out of hand. He's giving it to everyone. We need to crack down, and that's why all research was banned until pretty recently.
Yeah, so it was you're right. The main driver behind banning all this stuff was like the Nixon administration, and to a certain extent, like a little bit before that.
Yeah.
But the main driver of it was they were looking at all the protests and all the shit that was going on in the 60s, and they thought to themselves, how do we stop this? The people are rebelling against their own government. We got to just eliminate drugs. We got to take away all their drugs, and then that will fix everything. So they just put a big blanket ban on it to just so that fewer people would question like the war in Vietnam and all the different social like dynamics that were going on in the 60s at the time. They thought that would just get rid of all the hippies. Nixon hated hippies so much.
Yes.
And so by getting rid of the drugs, he thought we'll get rid of the underlying issues. But it's because of that we weren't able to like study it at all and figure out where it can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So this book is kind of crazy because they talk about it borrows a lot from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and it talks about the different experiences that people have. And there's a lot of commonalities that people share when they're taking acid for the first time or even second or third time, where they have like a clear pattern of you experience this when you first start. Then there's a clear light that you're going to see right after you experience ego loss, which is where you see the world from an outside perspective, not through your own eyes, and you become like relatively insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And then there's a clear light. A lot of times there's a bouncing ball. I don't know if you've ever experienced any of that. I did see a bouncing ball, but it was on the soccer field.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I feel like on shrooms I've experienced a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sort of like becoming like one with your surroundings. So you stop like seeing yourself as yourself, but just as Arian was saying, kind of just as part of the world and not just you in the world.
Yeah, my experience like that was very vivid. I was listening to music, and you listening to music is so dope on that stuff. But it was like a very vivid moment of like, it sounds crazy. Nobody has taken it, but people are taking it. Understand? It's like you felt like you were the music, like the vibrations of the music. You felt like you were like inside of it. It was a very eerie, but amazing feeling.
Big T, do you have any desire at all to experience any of this?
Zero. Negative.
So my personal experience, I don't take mushrooms a lot, a few times a year, I would say. But when I do, it's just the happiest experience ever.
That's awesome for you.
You're just happy. Yeah, I'm not pressing you. I'm just sharing my.
No, I know. I hope that's great.
Yeah, you just take them and I fall asleep with a smile on my face. I have great dreams. I'm just happy. It's just a good experience for the most part. And when I was growing up, people would always talk about mushrooms like, oh, be careful, you're going to eat mushrooms and then you're going to go on a bad trip and then you're never going to recover for the rest of your life. And people do have bad trips on hallucinogens for sure. Like it's not an uncommon experience, but I think some of that depends on the environment that you take them in
Yeah.
And kind of your mindset going into it as well. Like if you're in a bad place and you have a lot of negative thoughts, then you're probably not going to have a great experience. But the times that I've taken mushrooms, I've taken them when I'm in a very happy place already. I've taken them when I'm just kind of neutral and hanging out. And every time that I've had them, just great time. Shout out to mushrooms.
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
You just feel happy and everything's fun. And
I think it's deeper than that. I think
choose to be happy normally.
Yeah, but no, it's like to Arian's point.
Happiness is a choice.
To Arian's point,
that's not true.
Yeah, that is true.
I think it's like
physiologically not true.
I think they're helpful in a sense that sometimes you'll get really worked up and you get hung up on the same things over and over again, or you're kind of just dwelling on like one problem in your life, and then even a small dose of shrooms can kind of open things up to the point where you realize, okay, that's not that big of a problem in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah. So when I say
can help change your perspective on things.
When I say that it makes me feel happy, it's a very broad way to put it. But the reason that I think it makes me feel happy is because you experience things in a different way where, like to Donnie's point, you get a sense of the entire world and the entire universe to a certain extent, and you're just kind of like content with the way things are. You're just like, okay, this is kind of beautiful. Like, how lucky am I to be experiencing this at this moment in time? And it just puts a smile on your face. And also sometimes you'll just be walking through the hallway of a Las Vegas casino, and then Big Dom, the security guard from the Eagles, walks past you, and you're like, holy shit, that's Big Dom. And you're so happy because you saw Big Dom. And then Russell Wilson comes in with Sierra right behind him, and he's just mean mugging everybody in the casino, doing his little strut like he's a GQ model down the center of the hallway, and you just laugh in Russell Wilson's face because he looks ridiculous. And everybody's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? So this
too can happen to you.
Yeah, so it can be a really good experience for a variety of different ways. But every time I feel it, it's just like, I remember the time I took him at the beach down in the Jersey Shore, and I just stayed up until like 4 a.m. and I was like sitting on the sand, and I had some of my closest friends there, and I was like, this is awesome. Like this is a great experience in life that we're getting to share together. Isn't this beautiful? So it just makes you feel like, I don't know, more connected, happier.
So like on a more surface level, that's kind of not that surface, but just like explain it like on a scientific level, like Big T, like when you sit down and watch Tennessee basketball and they have a good game, or you're at a high school game and that's your euphoria, like there's a certain like neural connectivity in your brain that's happening that allows you to feel that euphoria, to feel that happiness, right? That's why I said happiness is literally not a choice, right? Like some people's neural pathways block that, which is what depression is. It's like literally. And so what they're finding is like these chemicals like in mushrooms and LSD and stuff can reconnect pathways that don't necessarily have that, or just have some kind of blockage or whatever the case may be. And it gives you this extreme sense of like gratitude, euphoria, whereas like in alcohol, right? There's a crash and then you don't experience that unless you get that high again. What they're finding with these psychedelics is like that connect them and they don't necessarily disconnect. And the science is still like, I'm not claiming to be a scientist, but this is just from the shit I read, that it can connect things like in a permanent way to where that those pathways are always connected, just creatively, thought clarity, all those kind of things. So it's like a real thing that I think needs to, and it is like, I think you guys were talking about earlier why it was banned, because the US government bans everything that they deem as bad that they can't profit off of. But it's still a class 1 drug to my knowledge. It needs to be declassified and not a Schedule 1 drug, but something else, so that it can be studied for medicinal purposes, because it's already having effects on people that have like PTSD, depression, anxiety, all these things. They're finding mountains and loads of evidence is saying it actually helps people come up out of that state. And like Jake was saying, that you don't really want to take it every single day. It's something that just kind of like wakes you up in like a realignment that says, damn, like I do exist in this world and this is a beautiful place to be.
Doesn't that sound nice?
It sounds great.
Also, I think that it makes some people more spiritual too. Like it can lead people to connect with God or connect with whatever religion.
I would be highly skeptical that the spirituality you're describing is often connected with religion.
Oh, not true at all.
No, it is actually. They did some research. So in 2015, Dr. Griffith gave psilocybin to 20 religious leaders to see whether it changed the way they practiced their ministry.
I hope they were all in the same room together and had a big conversation about it. That would have been awesome.
And Swift got to know many of the participants during follow-up interviews. He said, for some, the drug had been a revelation. It took my worldview and busted it open, said James Lindbergh, a Lutheran pastor who leads a church in suburban Omaha. The experience spurred Zach Kamenetz, a rabbi from Berkeley, to start an organization that integrates psychedelics into Judaism. Hunt Priest, an Episcopalian priest from Savannah, founded a Christian psychedelic society. So, I think they really appreciated the experience.
I reject that you said a Christian psychedelic society.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
I don't accept that as a real
sounds a little
thing,
bit like a cult.
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like a cult.
But Big T, what about this?
I had a buddy who his name's Neil Brennan. He helped wrote the Chappelle Show. I think I mentioned him on the show before. But he was an atheist. That's kind of how we connected. He found out I was atheist and we connected or whatever. But he had like this trip with ayahuasca. And he's come out with comedy specials since then. He has a podcast. He's doing his thing, and he no longer is an atheist. He believes that there's some kind of God. So it is people
some kind of God, or he's like a Christian or a Muslim, or
no. He believes. I would call him spiritual. He doesn't know.
Right, but that's exactly what I said. I said I would be skeptical that the spirituality you're describing often aligns with a religion. I think it's people like, I believe now there's like a creator that connects all of us or something.
Well, when you talk to like most theologians, right? You'll be hard pressed to find like a theologian that's like, this is absolutely 100% exactly what happened. Most of them are like, we have a good idea, but this is just what we feel. Like you like most like creationists, like fundamentalists, they're really not that deep. Most of them are not that deep into the Bible and the study of the Bible. But the ones that actually do, like the Christians that do, they're more likely to be more spiritual than religious.
I think that if you take some sort of psychedelic and you have an experience and you think about religion, it's going to be very unlikely that it would lead you to a path to believe in like one dogmatic type of
a blood
religion
sacrifice
where like, okay, this is the only way and everybody else that doesn't follow this is incorrect. I think it would definitely make you more open-minded and more like including of other people that didn't happen to follow whatever you believed.
Yeah.
But it could drive you to be more spiritual.
Yep.
Okay. But he could also take too much and then realize like, I don't really care about Tennessee football. There's more important things in life.
Yeah, actually,
that would be scary.
Now you scared him off for life.
Well, no, I recognize that there are more important things than that, and I choose to disregard them.
Yeah, so don't
discount them.
Don't take psychedelics because the part of you choosing to discount the other things, that part would come up big time.
I am virtually certain it would do nothing to me.
Also, Big T is good just the way he is. We don't need to change Big T's brain chemistry.
I fuck with him.
I do think, like, as you were saying with shrooms, the few times you've taken them, like, you've really enjoyed it. And I think it just comes down to a matter of how much you take. Like, if you take a heroic dose or a big dose, it does become something you wouldn't do as like a party drug, or you wouldn't do just for fun. It becomes more of like, okay, I'm about to go through it, but I think it will be a beneficial experience for me. Like, it might not be fun, but it could be helpful.
Yeah. Is there any other term for a heroic dose or a very big dose?
They call it the ego death.
Anything else?
Macro dose.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes. A macro dose.
I also do not recommend taking a bigger dose than you thought you were taking and then staring at memes for a long time. And by memes, I don't mean things on the internet. I mean sitting across the table from memes from Part of My Take.
Yeah.
Well, he just stares at you and doesn't move a muscle, and he just stares at you for what feels like 5 hours.
That sounds pretty scary.
Do not recommend doing that. And also, don't take it right before you order a big steak dinner, beef Wellington actually, because then you won't have any appetite to eat it whatsoever. Also, if you don't feel like taking psychedelics, just don't take psychedelics. Not for everybody.
We're not going to force it on anyone.
Not for everyone. And if you don't want to take them, that's fine. And again, like I said, it's not going to make you more closed-minded about people. I'm not like, fuck people who won't take psychedelics.
Yeah.
All right. There's just like one or two other notes about mermaids and psychedelics. Basically boil down to people that are really into producing art, like psychedelic inspired art, love to just draw mermaids everywhere. That's one of their favorite things.
Yeah.
The mermaids, the healers. You can find like mermaid paintings and shit that are psychedelic inspired all over the internet. Through the Looking Glass, inspired also by psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of art, like the entire Jimi Hendrix catalog, inspired by psychedelics.
Yep.
This is not about psychedelics, but it is about mermaids and drugs. There was a New Jersey mom in 2019. She told a story about how she bought a $500 mermaid doll on Etsy for her daughter. And when she bought it, by the way, she spent $500 on a mermaid doll. I don't know what she thinks she's going to get, but she got it, and it had 2 ounces of cocaine inside of it. The doll was misshapen. The daughter complained it was ugly, so the mom sent it to a Secaucus doll and teddy bear hospital. There's got to be better things in life to do with your money, right, than found a doll and teddy bear hospital.
Yeah.
It would be in Secaucus, though.
Why is that?
I don't know. Secaucus
New
is
Jersey.
just like the most random place ever.
Doll teddy bear hospital.
She sent in the doll for like plastic surgery. She was like, my daughter thinks this doll is too ugly. Can you somehow make it prettier?
I'm bringing it up right now. The doll
and
teddy bear hospital in Secaucus is back in business after temporary closure due to COVID-19. They work from home, but their patients are still receiving the utmost care. So let's see. They did pause in March 2020 for COVID. They're fixing they might think that they're actually like nurses and first responders. We have to flatten the curve with all the teddy bears and dolls that are coming into us. So about us, it's the doll doctor. She repairs dolls. Her mom worked at a doll factory. When she graduated high school, she studied business administration and worked full-time at the dog factory. She followed her brother's idea about starting a doll hospital, and that's what she did. The New York Doll Hospital was in Manhattan. She started another one in Secaucus, and they just repair dolls. But they dress up like nurses when they do it.
And like this person sent in the mermaid doll, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to do surgery. It's got like 1 kilo of cocaine in it."
Well, she didn't know. She just knew that the doll was ugly, and so she sent it in to the hospital. But then the hospital called the police, and when they took the doll's head off, they found the drug hidden away, and they called the cops over there. And then the cops wrote to the mom, or they went to visit the mom that sent it in, and the mother said that that the DEA went on to say that they're working together to plan a sting on the doll maker in Alabama. So she ordered a $500 doll from Alabama, and it showed up with a bunch of cocaine in it. And she doesn't know what happened to it. So I think they probably ended up shutting that place down, the cocaine doll place. What an all-time... She really fucked it up for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah. So I guess like if you were in the know, you knew you could go on Etsy, buy the mermaid, and just have a brick of cocaine.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for super expensive mermaid dolls.
And then whoever was like selling those is like, no one else is going to buy a $500 mermaid doll.
Yeah.
Like only people in the know are going to be purchasing this.
Yeah. And then she went full, what's the term that Kevin came up with? KFC? Ruth Conda?
Oh, yes.
So she went full Ruth Conda on it.
Conda.
Well, that was a tweet.
Yeah, it was a tweet. We are familiar with the tweet. Yes, Arian?
No, but it's a funny term.
Oh, you don't know about that? It's an all-time tweet. Google Ruth Conda and read the tweet. I want to see you read it.
All right, here we go. Ruth Conda.
He's going to love it, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you could read it aloud for the class.
It was after Ruth.
Is it
Bader
Alexandra
Ginsburg
Lee
passed.
Caps?
There's only one. Yeah, I don't.
That's
I guess it is.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Just told my 10-year-old daughter about RBG. She had tears in her eyes. And then she did the Wakanda pose and said, Ruth Conda forever, which is the sort of pop culture cross over that I can celebrate. What a fucking dweeb. What? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Wakanda forever.
So just when you make up shit that your kids say.
No chance that fucking happened. And if it did, your kid's a fucking dork.
So if you make up stuff your kids say, then it's nominated for Ruth Conda Forever Award.
How's Chris doing?
My 4-year-old son?
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned. I just bought my 4-year-old son Chris a new sign for his study.
Oh.
Would you like to see the sign?
Yeah, sure.
Wait, you have a kid? What is going on?
Yeah, my 4-year-old son Chris. He's on top of every current event, and he teaches me lessons about life through these current events. This is a sign: rules for dating my son. He is not your ATM. Understand, I don't like you, and I never will. I'm everywhere. You hurt him, I hurt you. Respect me as his mama. Don't lie to him or to me. He is my prince, not your toy. I don't mind going back to jail. Understand, I can make you go away. Whatever you do to him, I will do to you. That's weird. That last part's very weird. But
yes,
whatever you do to him, I will do to you.
Yeah, it's very rare that you see a sign. Usually those are reserved for dads protecting their daughters.
Yeah.
But I've got one protecting Chris on the way to me. So this lady, after she went to the news and talked about this $500 cocaine doll, she said she didn't get a replacement and she forever hated dolls. She said that her daughter even put all her American dolls in the basement and she's scared of them now because this person.
You don't even have to tell your daughter that they found drugs inside of it. You just say you're not getting the doll back.
I'm starting to think that maybe this lady knew more than she's letting on.
Yeah.
She's really hungry for this publicity here.
That's bizarre.
Or it was her daughter's coke that she hid in the doll.
The daughter's coke?
Yeah, maybe the daughter was pushing coke. And then the mom was like, I'm going to take this to get it repaired. And they found all her daughter's coke inside, like Eric Adams would find like a AK-47 hidden behind a picture frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then they explained away by being like, no, that's from Alabama.
In Eric Adams' mind, there's a lot of little girls out there hiding cocaine in their dolls.
Yeah. I wish that were the case. All right, so I think that about does it for Macrodose. Today was a hero dose of Macrodose.
Yeah. And shout out Jake. That guy's the man.
Yeah, Jake the Snake Plummer.
Super friendly.
Very nice guy.
We're going to be friends.
I'm going to try to cook lion's mane tonight. Actually, is that something they just sell? Like, can you buy? Because I know you can take like the pills,
I took lion's mane for about 3 weeks straight.
But
I ain't really feel nothing. That was just me. But
you were taking the capsules though, right?
Yeah, I was taking the capsules. Yeah.
You can buy lion's mane like at the grocery store.
Okay, yeah. I don't think I've ever tried to cook it. And apparently there's ways you can cook lion's mane to where it tastes like a steak or a lobster, as he was saying.
Yeah, I think also to his point that there's a lot of lion's mane capsules out there that since it's not regulated, then the quality, the amount of the actual lion's mane mushroom in it probably not as high as others.
Yeah.
Get it from a reputable source. All right. Well, thanks to Jake the Snake Plumber. Thanks to Donnie for joining us. This has been Macrodosing. Love you guys.